Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Tub Takes. This is our weekly video podcast where we talk about all of the latest happenings in the VGC scene. And this time we have a very special episode because we have the two finalists from Knoxville Regional, including your winner, Toler. How you doing?
Hi. Nice to see everyone. Good evening.
It's great to have you on. And, of course, our runner-up, James. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. I did not win, unlike Toler, but I'm very excited to be here.
I'm very excited to have you. And then we also have Rajan, who just disappeared out of nowhere.
Am I gone?
Yeah, I just had your video pop up.
What do you mean?
I see this video just fine.
Oh,
Well,
weird.
Yeah, I actually
All
do
right.
see it just fine.
Yeah, this is a you
Oh, this is already a great episode. Hello, everyone. I finished 30th. I finished 30th.
Yeah, it's. I think
But I was there. I was in the room.
30th.
I was in the room with the greats, with Toler and James. I was in the room while they were farming the field.
Yeah,
James was farming me in Swiss.
But you won finals, so you farmed me there. So we've evened out the farming. It's fine.
True.
and
It's an even level of farming.
yeah,
What's your last name, James? I always forget.
Evans.
Yeah, so we've got Farmer Evans and Farmer Webb in call right now.
Well, it's honest work.
Oh, really, Goldango is the farmer, right, on your team?
Yeah, seriously. It's
He's
like
the
Bitcoin
moneymaker.
farmer. Yeah.
Breadwinner.
Yeah.
Goldango believes in an honest day's work.
No, he doesn't.
not.
Those plots are not honest plots. They're nasty plots. What?
Fair enough.
Goldango's definitely a trust fund baby. I mean, no
So
way
now
it
you
made all that
baby.
gold.
You said it, not me. You know?
What, you thought he got those 999 coins to evolve by himself? No.
No, he absolutely did not.
No.
He
Absolutely.
went nowhere. His base speed of 20 or whatever it was.
Had 0 moves to his name, 0 ability. Now suddenly he's one of the best mons in the game.
All right, we did 2 regionals to cover this weekend. It's actually a really big week. We had not only Knoxville regionals that we had these 3 contestants at, these 2 finalists at, but we also had Melbourne regionals, which is the biggest Australian regional ever, I believe. So I want to talk about that first. I do want to quickly mention the Global Challenge because that did also happen this weekend. If you're watching, then I don't know why you weren't watching Knoxville, but Alex and I did both stream our runs, and it was a lot of fun to do. And hopefully last year we did a 48-hour stream, I think, for one of the Global Challenges, and I think it'd be really cool to run that back. So we'll see if we can make that happen. I think we've had preliminary discussions about that. But I wanted to people have posted estimated cutoffs for the Global Challenge. So Rajan, Toler, James, I assume none of y'all played in the Global Challenge, right?
I care about myself as a person, as a human being. I respect myself and my time. No, I did not play the Global Challenge.
I really tried, and I ended up playing. I ended up playing 15 games on Thursday night, right before I got on my flight. So
That's energy you could have preserved to actually win the tournament.
no, dude, would you believe me that I played Conkeldonk in the Global Challenge, and then I proceeded to play him in the regional. It was
That is awesome.
I got prepped for the regional by playing in the Global Challenge. It was actually
Okay, I take it
insane.
back. That's kind of base. You high roll that really, really hard.
I
Would you have lost otherwise? Did it help?
It definitely helped me learn the line, but we can discuss it when we get to Knoxville.
I'm definitely old enough where if I was trying to do the Global Challenge and my real work and the regional at the same time, I'd probably implode. So absolutely not. It was like Yotam was like, "You're not doing the Global Challenge, bro," and I was like, "Yotam, you're 30. What's wrong with you?"
I did.
Please rest.
I streamed my run, and I did run into a username, which I'm pretty sure was someone who made it to day 2 of Knoxville and then got knocked out of day 2 and just started queuing up the Global Challenge right afterwards. So
Please do not say JUX9.
no,
although
it wasn't
I
Joe.
said
It wasn't Joe.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I got him into stream. You're about to see him in chat in 5 seconds. I know his name.
But yeah, so we have estimated rankings for the number of points that you should get. These usually go down after some carts are removed because their duplicate cards or people got to disconnected too much and maybe got to huge, stuff like that. So expect these to go down a little bit, but these are approximately how many points you can expect to get based on your result in the global challenge. And then notably, this commenter, I actually really wanted to point this out, pointed out that there actually is a kicker for the Rajan, can you mute? I think you're echoing a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Sorry. I think that so there's actually a kicker for the global challenge, which is 2,046 players, and I think it only counts players who actually connected their accounts to their Play Pokemon account, which means that we might actually miss the top 1024, which means that you might be missing out on 5 points, which James might actually come up for you because you.
It actually might. I don't know
Surely
what's.
James went 15-0 and got to 1680 and got to
No,
top 56.
I am literally 1599 and I went 11-4.
Oh.
It happens.
Uh,
Look, I would rather take my 5 points rather than my 10, and then the finals at the regional.
I was about to say, if you get finals at regionals, I don't think you're.
I basically
rating
won the
matters.
global challenge. Like, I got 160 points for getting finals. You get 160 points for winning the global challenge.
Yeah, you won the global challenge. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And $4,000 more. So, oops.
That's much more worth
You
it.
should have played another game. That's all I have to say.
Keep gambling.
Why are you not optimizing? Yeah.
Yeah, no, maybe if I played that 16th game, I would have played someone else at the regional. Like,
well, Justin Tang apparently said he got 40 points, and he was at the regional too. He cut the regional, so I don't know how we managed to do that.
damn it.
He was gaming.
All I'm going to say is take everything Toler said about his own self-care, and the opposite of that is Justin Tang. That's really all I have to say.
That feels harsh.
There are
Different
many
people
ways
have
to win
different
in
needs.
this game.
People have different needs. You know, I like to exercise and sleep and eat healthy food and rest, and then other people play a lot of Pokemon, and both work.
Keep in mind, my comment was not retro. Well, it was not with regards to prospective things Toler said about self-care, just what he said before. So I'm not actually. I don't know anything about Justin Tang's diet.
Yeah,
or
no. It's totally
No,
Justin
that
Tang
happens-
doesn't work for him, and he's an exceptional player. So.
Well, it's my assumption that he eats bricks for breakfast, or trophies, or medals, or
I was
whatever.
about to
it
say,
is.
like, yeah, surely he's eating his first place medals and laughing at all of
I haven't got one of those. So I don't know what they are.
Boiling them down into liquid gold.
One day I'll get to taste one of those.
If only they were.
Sorry, liquid plastic.
There we go.
Sorry,
Heavy
just
plastics. Yeah.
So back to the global challenge. Liberty Note is the Japanese website that compiles the teams the best at the end of the month in the Battle Stadium. They also compiled the top, I think, 100, 200 teams maybe from the global challenge. And so I did want to quickly, we don't have all the teams yet, but quickly, the person who won the global challenge, I think they used the exact same team as UB Slow did to, this is the UB Slow team, right? The one that UB Slow used to get top of the Battle Stadium ladder. So this team, maybe keep an eye out for it.
really quick, can we somehow delist a video for just Paul Chua and Paul Chua only?
He can't know about this.
You
It's an important
literally
secret.
cannot. It's so crucial.
It's crucial. Well, it's like my question looking at this is that rapid strike Urshifu or single strike Urshifu? Do we know?
It's rapid.
Okay,
I
it's
believe
rapid.
it's Choice Scarf.
So it is the the God core of rapid strike Urshifu, special attack Mr. Flutterwing, I guess. It's Cogs, Ensign, and Amoonguss. And then you pick your favorite last two Pokemon, which, I mean, I was building this team too for Knoxville, but last two Pokemon was, Pelipper or Charladon, because I have taste. I'm kidding, of course.
Yeah, okay. I was like,
But
I
like
made a
this is
face. I
like
didn't
it feels like the Fluttermane Urshifu Ensign Amoonguss core is like one of the best things in the metagame that hasn't had a crazy result outside of, I guess, the GC. So
My
That's a
least
good
favorite.
point.
Now I know it's been talked about. I know it's been mentioned. I know it's probably covered and came up in everyone's streams. But the fact that the GCs are still like a game of guess that Urshifu makes no sense to me.
it's so stupid. Yeah.
Yeah, I do not understand that at all. That is, obviously, even just from like a pure gameplay perspective, there have been like Pokemon that have undergone like pretty noticeable changes between Generation 8 and Generation 9, and it's very weird that Urshifu just kind of seems to be one that they, obviously, because they obviously nerfed it a little bit, like when it came to Wicked Blow. But it's very weird how the Pokemon fundamentally has just been like kind of ignored by whoever is balancing Pokemon at Game Freak. Like this is the second generation that Urshifu has just had this apparent buff for no reason. And I could not tell you why, considering any other Pokemon that has a form change has a different sprite than its other.
Even Ogerpon, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like even Gastrodon, right? Like you see the Gastrodon form.
Yeah. Gastrodon does, Indeedee does. Like I think I'm trying to like.
Sorry.
Oh no, I was gonna look and see if there were any Pokemon that came to mind that like share similar traits because like I would say the closest one I think is Indeedee because Indeedee both forms share the same Pokedex entry like slot, which is why like they screwed up and gave it Trick Room for the female one. But like those also have different sprites. Like even Alchemy, which is a Pokemon from the same generation as well as the other two, like that has like 80 different forms and they're all purely cosmetic and they all have different sprites.
That's crazy.
So
I did not know that.
it's very weird.
Yeah. I think that most of the time, I didn't have a problem identifying the Urshifu in Team Preview most of the time. I never really got surprised by that in the best of one. And obviously at a regional, it's not a concern because you got open team sheet. Here, like, I would have guessed water, although this one is a little more ambiguous. But, yeah, I think that usually...
It's not really right, because water Shifu fills out a Fire, Water, Grass core. You have a Dark type with Pow. You have a second Dark type with Incense. So you'd be, like, towing the line on your Flutter weakness with Dark Ursh, and you'd be missing important coverage. Like, Scarf, Water, Ursh makes the most sense on this team. So it's the most inferable, but, like... If we didn't know it was UB-Slow's team, maybe I'd be concerned.
Yeah,
right.
I think
Triple Dark seems fine to me, frankly. You just said, you're Flutter. I'm like, what Flutter weakness? You have a Qianpao and an Urshifu and an Instant. What do you mean a Flutter?
Wait. Flutter Mane typically comes with at least one redirection Pokemon. Let's be clear. And usually it's Ogerpon.
I do think it becomes a bit more of an issue, especially like for Tailwind teams, because now like both Urshifus are pretty viable next to, let's say, like I would say. Mm-hmm. With AV Raging Bolt, it's becoming a lot more common, but we can probably discuss that when we get to the regionals. But like, especially online global challenge, both Urshifus can realistically be seen next to Tornadus. Yep. So like those much more offensive cores, it's probably going to be a lot more tough to guess.
It's a lot trickier to guess next to a Torn. Yeah, next to a Pow, it's like, man, Water Ursh with Scarf sounds really nice.
I would hope it's not dark. Like,
yeah.
Speaking of dark, though, James, do you have a lamp?
Oh, not on this side of the room, actually. So, like, it makes it very weird. Like, when I tab out and, like, my white screen just, like, flashbangs me, and then I go back to, like, the Discord call, and then it just looks like this. Like, on, off, on,
very
off,
violent, yeah.
on, off. Sorry.
I honestly didn't notice.
We should figure this out here.
That's okay. I mean, sometimes they're just demon hours on one of the cameras, you know? No problem.
Just start looking directly into the camera like this, like just more evil every time.
Let's going back to the GC. I want to wrap this up because I really do want to spend a lot more time talking about Knoxville. But Liberty Note is collecting all these teams. You can scroll through them. There are some. I mean, it's the global challenge, right? There's always some really cool teams. Number 10 had a Malamar on the team. I don't think they posted the pace or anything like that, but we saw Destiny do pretty well. I think there were a couple other people. Maluka used the UB-Slow team as well, except I think he had Clear Amulet Chenpao. Was a cool best of one tech.
And the Rillaboom is also a difference, right? Instead of Flutter Mane, which is very, I mean, like, that's very odd. That's like saying my
that is a colossal at 28th place. Okay, I think I want that done.
There was a colossal.
Maybe.
Best part. Would you believe it if I told you that the Urshifu next to the Cole was single strike?
There's no Urshifu.
Real Gen 8 mind games.
But I just think that's the kind of gaming that you need to be building around. You need to be building around.
True. It's single strike, but it's Terra Psychic weakness policy colossal.
Precisely.
So you see the single strike and you're like, oh, I'm fine. And they still can't activate Steam Engine, but like, you know, big colossal.
I think, do you have the I think Nail's tweet sent it in Tub that was just like, the person did super well with like dinner plate Pokemon, just like no items on any of their Pokemon.
What?
That's a crazy phrase.
I'm not kidding. One of the Pokemon had like a plate or something. Like not like an Arceus plate, like a
Like when they're like people ran like sausages or whatever on like
Yeah.
your Pokemon and Gen 8 that you
Like
could just like
chicken
do
leg.
that. Yeah, like you could just run like a can of beans. Like
Yeah, you
I'm not-
can.
One of those was, I thought one of those had a competitive basis for it though, like
I think it's-
mail on items.
yeah, you can't trick it.
Mhm.
Yeah, or
Mail
So
you
like
couldn't
when Grimmsnarl like wanted to run trick every time with like Iron Ball or like Lagging Tail, you couldn't get tricked.
All right.
It's a purpose.
I have scrolled through. I've scrolled through enough of these teams. There's some pretty fun stuff here. Definitely, again, worth looking into. There's a Sparta Flamigo. But let's go. Let's go ahead and let's talk about Knoxville.
Wait, what do we say? Where is hold on.
Sparta.
Look what you've done. Look what you've done.
Where'd it go? Where is
Espathra,
it?
not Espartha.
Where is it?
Espathra.
That got me off mute.
I don't have the anything other than this.
Okay. Well, when you find it, let me know.
You know what? You can keep an eye on Liberty Note or just follow this guy on Twitter.
I'm gonna guess that it's not Lumina Crash Espathra. It's gonna be my guess.
Maybe Baton Pass or
Does
maybe
it
just
get
like
bulk up?
Yeah.
What other moves does it have?
Is that like the
Bulk up.
does the Flamigo might co-star in on like a bulk up speed boost?
I don't think it gets bulk up. There's no way.
Let me
I mean,
see
maybe it's
here.
special Flamigo. That would be kind of funny.
Oh god. What is this thing at? Now I'm curious. I'm looking.
At +6, everything is possible, right?
All right. That's we're gonna table the GC discussion.
I couldn't find anything.
We do have two regionals to talk about. So we have
Nothing happened at either of them.
Nothing
Nothing worth mentioning, at least.
right. Yeah.
I
No.
agree.
No.
He's
no
right.
results. But
Thanks
yeah,
for watching Top Takes.
this
Well, Melbourne is pretty important. Though.
biggest Australian
Melbourne
regional
was
ever.
important.
It-
Melbourne was important, and
Yes.
I don't. No. Not because of the tournament. That never matters. But because of the person whose crest got sniped.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
that's funny.
Oh my god.
That's the important part. No
I
no
saw
Australian
that and I
has
was
ever
reading it
mattered.
in disbelief, dude. I could not believe that.
I cannot
So
emphasize
funny.
enough how much no Australian tournament has ever mattered. And you can shit me on that comment. Not
I
one.
will, actually. I think Australian tournaments absolutely matter, and a lot
Nicholas
of Australian
Kahn.
players get very good. But I know that's kind of the straight man approach to what you said, so...
Nicholas Kahn is my goat.
yeah, Nick Kahn knocked me out of Worlds last year, so I have to
Abs-
respect Australian.
No,
Oh,
tournaments.
he also beat me at Worlds last year, dude. Like,
Yeah,
Australian
I got
players-
dozoed.
I'm not dismissing the Australian player base, just the
Just their
tournament.
tournaments.
That being said, the one person who got their crest sniped is my favorite regional story, at least in the last 3 years.
That is pretty
it's definitely
terrible.
up there.
I can't find the tweet. I know it's I've seen it somewhere, but so I can't pull it up. But you find
It's
it, let
just
me
so
know.
crazy that
But it did remind me of this excellent tweet that I saw from Japanese Twitter.
Oh my god, dude, I was crying at this last night. I could not believe this. It's so incredible.
Oh, I should have been watching Adi's stream this one.
This is so crazy, dude.
Oh,
On the last day-
that is nuts.
On the last day of the GC, my wife's water broke at 3:30 a.m. I supported her, attended the birth. While her condition was calming down, I took a presumably drive from the hospital. And from 1700, I lost 43 points and then won 9 consecutive games from a desperate situation to qualify for Japan
Dude,
Nationals.
I think Dive is actually correct. I think Dive is saying that he lost rating.
Dude, this
or
is
they lost
literally-
rating on this circumstance.
I was gonna say that it reminds me, you know, like this image of like it's like the guy just eating pizza while his wife like delivers a baby.
No, but scroll down.
I'm insane. Please don't tell me I'm insane.
There's a photo of his
Someone
kid.
posted a picture of him holding his baby's
Yeah,
finger.
it's on his
Oh
Twitter.
my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Or his baby holding his finger. Yes.
Yeah, my bad.
Unless it's a really big baby.
And a really small person.
Yes. That's
This is
crazy.
unreal.
Terry Poke. I don't know how
Well,
Terry
I-
Poke like actually maneuvers the switch with fingers that small.
You know,
Yeah.
this strikes me as a little bit surprising because there are, two
Maybe-
more GCs. Maybe they were really confident in the run they were having and they wanted to like. I mean, there's a lot of waiting time in the hospital at least, and you only get 3 attempts in Japan, so like I kind of understand. But man, be there with your wife. It's hard for us to understand from our perspective because we have many more opportunities.
Listen, you
It's
have
gonna be weird
No,
maybe
it's only
you have maybe 2 or 3 kids in your life, and you maybe have 2 or 3 GCs every year. Like I think it's pretty
true.
comparable.
facts.
Well,
dude,
it
it's
might be
fine.
for this person. Like once this kid gets older, it might be out of the question to even pursue Worlds for the next like 5 years. And then it's
Yeah,
like,
and their child's gonna be named Scarlet and just not know why.
Oh, God.
It's gonna be awesome.
All right.
I don't
and
want to.
No,
I mean,
no.
I think that person had a very eventful weekend, and I'm very excited for their
Congratulations.
congratulations on both
No,
on both your qualification as well as your child.
I can't wait for the Americanized version of this tweet where it's going to be like some dude at round 9 of regionals and it's the exact same scenario.
one,
Just
why
at
are
the
you at a
hospital.
regional when your wife could have a baby? And
I don't know, man. It could happen. I'm not here to raise good. I'm not here to raise good scenarios. I'm just here to make you think. Like,
Yeah, no,
But
it
the
will
tweet
happen.
is like, I left my Switch bag at home, but accidentally brought the hospital to go bag. Does anybody have their game?
Oh,
Could lend me a new one.
did the hospital PC while my wife delivers? Anyone got a copy?
Oh God.
All right, fair enough.
All
All
right.
right, now
Anyway,
I know this-
sorry.
Now it's definitely a moving on angle, but
Okay,
I
yes.
did
I did find the tweet.
I am very happy for Terry Poke 9. That is an extremely eventful weekend.
It's cool to see. It is just a very funny story. All right, Knoxville. Of course, we have our 2 finalists. Toler, you ended up winning, so we will let you go first. Tell us about you cut the last regional in Charlotte with a very different team. Tell us about your last 2 weeks and why you chose to run this and a little bit about your run.
Yeah, so Charlotte was a long weekend for me. Obviously, I think anyone who goes to these tournaments knows how much of an investment of time and energy it is. It's very stressful. It's very all those sorts of things associated with being in a regional, and Charlotte was no exception. So I honestly needed a break after Charlotte, and I tried to take as much of a break in that week as I could. A lot of people were like asking me for advice or asking questions about teams or all that, and I was giving like sort of very mediocre answers as far as what I was gonna what genuine advice I would offer, which is not my style, but I did not have the energy for it. So I was going into Knoxville like, well, I'll probably run Sidespan back, and I've worked on this sort of. I was talking about the Ensign, Flutter, Amogus, Urshfuk core. I was working on a rain team with that. For the last like month and a half. It had just barely missed top 16 at Liverpool, and I was like, well, I'll probably run that, and got that ready. And then I had sort of in the background been chatting back and forth with Justin Knox. Very soon after Charlotte, he had said in the Puppies Discord something to the effect of like, I found the call for Knox. So like, anyone who's curious, please DM me. And I was like, I DM'd him, I was like, surely you could not have found the optimal team for Knoxville already, but I'm very curious as to what your opinion is. And separately from that, I've been working with Sam Bentham on some Golden Go stuff because my favorite team in Reg E was Roaring Moon Golden Go, like breaking swipe sort of semi-balance team with Clefairy, which I think we saw Z do really well with, like that same 6 in Reg E. I didn't get to go to regional with it, which I was more than fine with. Took a few PCs down. Anyway, point being, I had been working on Golden Go stuff. Nox had basically just Raghav 6 from San Antonio with Clef Gambit. And I was like, I'm not really excited about King Gambit because it feels like I'm gambling too much on Sucker Punches. And I'm just not a good Gambit player. I don't think that's going to be the right call for me, but I am curious about this team because I like Clefairy a lot, which, Adi, I know you're a fellow Clefairy lover. Mm-hmm. We were working on it. I was like, well, I like this torn version of the Roaring Moon team that I had, and it felt like Ensign was the right Pokemon to have there. And then it's probably like we probably need to cut Clefairy for Water Pond, since Incineroar doesn't do as much damage as Hisuian Arcanine does. So it was like, okay, we have sort of this team with like Incineroar, Tornadus, Water Pond, and Golden Go, and then like some last 2 Pokemon playing with like Raging Bolt because electric Pokemon are famously good with Golden Go, as we saw with Hands. Since they punish water types pretty hard. And so we were just kind of sitting around on that and trying a few variations. It didn't feel good. But still playing with the idea of like a redirection and a setup mon because it was really good into Blood Moon and really good into some of the other defensive setup teams that were emerging in the format. all this to say, Liverpool happens. We see Eduardo Cunha's team. It's like, this is the six we were trying to build this entire time, and now we're going to look like dummies because we didn't come to it before and tell everyone how great our team was, and so we're just going to look like we're copying Edu. Which, I mean, like, to be fair, because Edu came to the six first, we were definitely copying Edu. So many credits to him for coming up with it, and having an amazing run at Liverpool and showing us all the power of Terra Fairy, Assault Vest, Raging Bolt. But there were a couple like obvious things to change. Like Terra Fairy Bolt with Terra Blast didn't quite make sense because it wasn't meaningful coverage against almost anything aside from maybe like a neutral hit into other Raging Bolt.
Not to jump in there. That was like, I really understand that there had to be a basis for that decision, right? Like he wouldn't have done it, and he's a world champion. He's an extraordinarily accomplished player. He won worlds.
He won worlds.
Extremely like, but that decision made no sense to me.
I think it's
I thought it made some sense.
It seems like his team or the team is a little weak to opposing Raging Bolt, and having help into that seems useful. Or like, and maybe like
not just a little, but yeah,
too, right? Like that. Those seem like the Roaring Moon and opposing Raging Bolt seem like justifications for it. And so I tested the team a little bit too. I kind of saw the justification for it, but Snarl is just so much utility that I didn't feel like you could drop that.
Yeah, Roaring Moon honestly was, in my testing, Roaring Moon was the only thing that served as sufficient justification for it. It's like, oh, I might not want to click Draco into this Pokemon because if I Draco, then I'm going to miss the KO with T-Bolt if they Terra. But if I Terra Blast, then I can still T-Bolt them the following turn, so it's like, it's okay. But even then, right, like, you're playing a very careful game against the Amoonguss on their team. Like, that matchup was also quite bad, just in general.
Does Draco into -2 T-Bolt really not kill Terraflying Roaring Moon?
You know, I think it depends on their spread, but Roaring Moon has, like, has somewhere around base 100 Spit F.
It's got a fair amount. Let me check.
Yeah, it's
105, 101. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very bulky on the special side, and they typically invest a lot in bulk. And I know the Roaring Moon players are going back and forth on running like a lot of HP or like a lot of speed to do a Scarf Urshifu. Like it's up in the air a little bit, but I would be worried that I could miss it, especially with them having redirection, right? And then Terra Blast, you're not committing as much. So that was the best argument I could find, Rajan. And to be clear, I didn't run Terra Blast, so I don't agree with that argument. Right?
Mm-hmm.
No, I appreciate it. I didn't mean to cut in. I was just like, when I was looking at AV Bolt 2, it's like, this one has like 114 good moves on it.
Oh my god. Yeah.
And like, why would I want a made-up one?
Terra Blast.
Yeah. I think there are reasons for it, but I imagine Edu probably would change Terra Blast if he played the team again. I just have a suspicion that would be something he changed. And I think you could play, actually, I was looking at some of those GC results, like, I think you could play either Snarl or Electroweb in the last spot. Snarl felt like it made sense with Size Spam potentially showing up a lot. But I think Electroweb also makes sense when you have Golden Go, who really appreciates like Icy Wind Electroweb type speed control.
But also
right?
Volt Switch with your Incineroar too.
Volt Switch is pretty good. Yeah, we saw that on ladder.
There's just a lot of good fourth moves.
Yeah, a lot of good fourth moves. I think for
I want
this
to drop
team,
T-Bolt more than I want to put on Terra Blast.
I find T-Bolt very important, and for the same reason that like it's good with Golden Go, it's like you really want to pressure water types, and then you have the additional benefit of pressuring Tornadus much more than you would with like Dragon Pulse Electroweb or something like that.
It just gives you a lot of freedom.
Yeah, you can establish speed control in the late game much more consistently than you would with the Electroweb D-Pulse set, but I know like plenty of people that wanted to run Electroweb D-Pulse, and the upshot of that is, the upside of that is that the bolt becomes much more accurate, which playing inaccurate Raging Bolt is not fun in 14 rounds of Swiss. I genuinely tried to avoid bringing Raging Bolt as much as I could. I brought it to like 3 of my day 1 matches, and like I had to bring it to my day 2 matches because I ran into my worst matchup like 4 times. So,
Yeah, so I guess tell us a little bit about your run. Ideally, don't talk about every game, but and any highlights you want to talk about, any experiences you want to talk about.
Yeah, so I'll give sort of like an overview of how I was handling it. So you can sort of see my run there. I played the Wolf team twice. I played a Sun Raging Bolt Walking Weight team. This is in day 1. I played Kobo P2 twice. I played Scythe once.
Lucky you on that one.
Yeah, right. Well, this is what I was saying before the podcast. Is like my day one run was like blessed. Like I ran into Wheezing. That's amazing for Golden Go. Not because like you inherently want your ability turned off, but because Wheezing is super passive, and a lot of Wheezing players will bring Wheezing anyway.
Yeah.
Like I can taunt the Goldie. We're chilling.
And it's like I set up a plot, and you're dead to one. Make it rain. Like let's be honest here. Your only attacking move is Gunk Shot. So I got my first game against Aaron. He brought Wheezing in, led it, and I led Golden Go, and I was really happy. And then game two, I thought to myself like, you're not bringing Wheezing in lead again. And I led Incineroar and caught his hands on lead and powered through the rest of his team. Like, I think I was fortunate to have that matchup, and then like I lost the Blood Moon matchup because I played like a dunce cap, but like everything else was fine.
I am really mad looking at this.
Yeah, right. I got super lucky in my day one schedule. But don't
Not
worry.
taking away from you by any means. You had to win your games and play them correctly.
Yeah, I knew the plans. Like Wolf Team is very losable. If you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I had to be on the fly against.
You had to have played like prep that at least a little bit.
Yeah, we had prepped that. Like the Jared Hun team, I was totally on the fly, and that wasn't necessarily a positive matchup, so that was a little scary. And then the Dalton matchup, actually, if Dalton played it a little bit differently, it's really, really hard for me to win because my Ogrepon didn't take Terra Normal Bandy speed with sword. So if he had just done the Pow Knight thing more games against me, then I would have been in hot water, but he didn't know to. And then like the last two, round 8 and 9, were probably the best matchups I could have pulled in the field. So I felt very fortunate. And then that all changes day 2. So that the Guillermo Castilla team that Justin Tang was on, that Yichun was on, that Drew was on, as you can see by looking at my schedule. Basically, I had played something in the range of like 5 to 10 practice sets against this team and not taken a game against it. I did not know what I was.
That feels bad.
Yeah, it was not good. I didn't know what I was going to do. I dropped Golden Go for the 2 days before the tournament. I was going to go back to Rain because I was like, I just can't do anything to these both teams. I feel like I'm like committing to like infinite guesswork and like I'm never doing enough damage. They're always out trading. Like they always have speed control with Speed Booster Flutter, which is even sometimes outspeeding my Urshifu and Tailwind. Like lots of really, really bad things. And then I sit down across from Drew round 1 and he knows my team and I don't know his team. And then I see I have my minute and 30 seconds to process what's going on. I'm like, oh no. But I guess between day 1 and like thinking for day 2, I knew I was going to run into this team. It's like, okay, the plan has to be something like trick them several times and then pull out whatever creative way I can to get rid of the Raging Bolt early in the game if they lead it, and then pressure the Lando if they don't lead the Raging Bolt. So prioritizing Water Pond, prioritizing my own Raging Bolt, and using Draco really, really aggressively to force them to Terra Fairy or lose an important piece. Sorry I'm being long-winded about this, but it was a horrible matchup.
You won the regional
4 times.
This show is yours.
Thank you. Yeah, sure. No. It's your show. It's Adi's show and Adi and Knox's, I guess. But
you don't want to hear about my GC run. That's what we're talking about.
Let it be on record that Toler just confused me for Adi.
No, I did not. I was saying you and Adi are.
No, I know.
Yeah. We just need Knall here, and then we can complete the trifecta.
What do you mean? I am here.
Oh. But anyway, point being, like, I was sort of improvising that on the fly and trying to trick people, and I really only beat Drew because I crit Cudgel in game 1. Like, he was getting all the 50-50s right in the end games, and I couldn't get it to better than 50-50s in the end game. And then Avery was kind of like a gift, like, in some senses, because the matchup was so good. But actually, I only won game 1 against Avery in this first day 2 set because I got a 50-50 right. Like, there was a very tricky turn. She played really, really well, despite the matchup being as hard as it was. And I think, honestly, I was more scared of the plan she brought to our first day 2 game than I was in top 8. And then it was 2 more rounds of Guillermo Castilla's team. And then James made me feel like I didn't know how to play Pokemon by swiftly, like, almost 4-0ing me twice, basically, is what I felt like. So it was like
you didn't care about that set, really.
Yeah.
Whoops.
I I wanted to win the set because one, I was still like vaguely nervous I was going to miss cut, and two, I
Same.
wanted to have some confidence going into the top 8 because that's something I struggle with as a player a lot.
I want to comment on the Drew thing. Drew talked to me about that set too. He was not very happy about getting it all the way and then losing on the cudgel crit. But in a way, the way that you're describing it, right? Like if you've got 50-50s, but like you also, it's a weighted flip because cudgel's a phenomenally broken
Exactly.
move.
Yeah.
So like, I honestly take those, right? It's your negative matchup. You turn into a 62.5, 37.5 or something like that. Like you're chilling.
Well, yeah, and this is something I talk about a lot, right? Is like, I know I have tendencies as a player, and I can't avoid that. And so, like, maybe someone who understands me as a player will make the right reads in end games as to what I'm going to do in a 50-50 scenario. Because I'm not perfect at, like, flipping the coin in my head, you know? Because, like, that's what you're supposed to do, I guess, is, like, you see a 50-50 and just flip the coin, but, like, oh, but what if I can guess?
No, I have a very good story for you when we get to my run then, Toler.
I'm excited. Oh, yeah, because you have the Thunderclap stuff to talk about.
Yeah,
right?
yes, I get to talk about this.
But at least with him, like, he hit, 4 out of 4 50-50s in our set. And that was frustrating for me in the abstract, but at the same time, like, I know it's a bad matchup. I signed up for it going to the tournament with the team I was playing, and I have to accept it. You know,
I think that's really interesting, at least from Drew's end too, because he's only been playing BGC for a couple of months. So that was his like 3rd or 4th tournament. So a lot of his, no, I think that was his 4th tournament. He did the 4 regional gauntlet that went X3, day 2, day 2, and because he is very new to BGC, like I'm sure like he doesn't have a lot of his. I don't think he was reading you in particular, but a lot of the patterns aren't necessarily ingrained there. So.
Yeah, he played exceptionally, right? And again, I don't win the set if I don't get the cudgel crit game 1, and then sort of like ride that into a very tricky mix-up game 3.
Yeah, he said you just bopped in game 2, so.
Or game 3. We went to 3. He beat me in 2, I think.
Sorry, yeah.
But yeah, like, but that was purely off a mix-up that I could only ever do once a set, where you like bring Dango in the back and force the fairy out of the Raging Bolt turn 1. Which I didn't even try against Tang because he acknowledged it before our set. He was like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna try to force my Terra and like beat me with Dango," and I'm like, "You're right," and I'm not gonna try it now. I'm just gonna be honest. But yeah,
that's such a sick way to go. That's such a sick way to deny an option. Not pin you in game, but to pin you pre-game.
Tell you.
Like, no, you're not doing that. You're right.
That's so awesome.
Dear God.
Tang actually.
No, I'm taking notes now.
That is some psychological nonsense.
Yeah, Tang actually 4-0'd me twice, if I recall. It was bad. And then against Luca, like the top 4 set looked good because it's like, oh, I won kind of convincingly both games, but like, I mean, game 2 it was kind of off a really good turn 1 where I got to clear Bolt early in the game, and then that makes everything easier for my team because there's no like really bulky fairy type sitting there staring me down while I have no Tango. But like game 1 was very, very close, and I think it could have easily gone his way with like different reads, different positions, because it's just not a good matchup for me. Like, I just don't have the tools to get rid of the Bolt in time, and maybe he would have brought Chiyu or something game 3, and I wouldn't have seen it coming, or like all that sort of stuff. The only good thing going for me against Luca was the fact that his Ogerpon was slower than Ursh, which was a huge deal, actually. But just something I found out organically playing. Like, I fully expected to be Wicked Blowing after the Ogerpon in game 1. But yeah. And then we saw the set with James. He smashed me in Swiss, and I was like, I'm going to try to lead Torn Dango, even though this objectively loses the Gouging Fire, because I don't think he's going to do it. But I don't know. Like, I have terror coursing through my veins because I know what I want to do, but there's just no like safe way to do it because again, like there are like big challenges for Golden Go on this team, so I can't go with my default moves. Yeah. Silly.
Yeah, but I mean,
and if you're not looking at chat, Justin said he did not mean to psych you out of that.
Yeah, you did say. Well, I'm a little. Well, no, I'm fully capable of processing like how bad it could have been. You know, if James shows me Ogerpon Gouging Fire and then switches in his Gambit turn 1, I think I run. Like, it's really bad.
Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah.
All right, and so what? So the viewers at home don't know. They're actually running it back.
Right.
Are we-
During
Oh,
this
yeah.
show specifically.
That's right. It's a boxing match. Yeah.
It's like chess boxing, you know. It's like they're gonna play game one
That's
and they're
true.
gonna
Toler
box.
did win the game of chess. But now,
Oh my god.
I'm once again showing my hand. Yeah.
and James is gonna show you his hands. You know.
Hey, I have a black belt in like junior mixed martial arts. You're not ready for this.
Oh,
It's like-
I have no fighting experience.
It's
You
like
only
a
win-
base 20 power wicked blow.
Do you only win the kid version of events?
Yeah, dude. I was like, look, I was a senior, and now like I'm a master division player. Except like, I never continued doing mixed martial arts after I graduated.
Here dark these hands. Yeah.
All right, James, it's your turn. Let's hear about your. I think you ran a very, very similar team to this at Charlotte, right?
Yes.
All right.
I say I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on the backstory because I think this team was. I made this team literally week 1 of the format. I said to myself, "Wow, Entei is really, 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 really broken, and all of these Pokemon are really good next to it." I think, like, I had, funnily enough, the original version of this team had Como and P2 over like the Lando and the Gambit. But I was like, these two kind of suck. They don't do anything and they're not very strong. Replace it with a Landorus and replace it with a King Gambit. So that way we have like ways to punish things. And from there, I kind of had the 5 Pokemon like automatically locked in just with another not like worse Gouging Fire. And like I was just kind of screwing around with that for like a week. And then I like eventually just keep playing. I'm like, oh crap, it's like a week before Charlotte. And then Aaron Trailer and like a couple other people tell me about like, hey, there's this like Gouging Fire set going around because it beats D-Knight Pal. And I'm like, this is actually really, really good. If I just switch out Entei, which kind of sucks on this team, and add this guy instead. Because I had all of these sets prior. None of these were like changed because I had Gouging Fire. This just so happened to be how the team organically was in the first place.
A legit 1-for-1 swap into an entirely different team.
Yes, I am not kidding you.
That's
The
crazy.
thematics of the team totally changed too. Is the best part. But
yeah,
it's probably
it's crazy. No, it
Yeah.
was like like as soon as I started playing it, I went like 8-0 on that. I was like, this feels very correct.
You went from like playing with a puddle to a like an actual like ocean.
Real
in a
team,
way.
yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense, right? Because you had a situation where you had like semi-supportive attacker in Ogerpon, like kind of just a strict attacker in Rillaboom, a strict attacker or like a pivot attacker in Entei, an attacker in Gambit, special attacker in Flutter, special attacker and like maybe special supportive attacker in Flutter, and then full special attacker in Lando. And then you switched out the pivot attacker that made no sense for a supportive attacker to power up your other attackers, so you actually had like utility. Like that makes so much sense.
It also really helped that like Gouging Fire is just really, really fat. It doesn't die. Like it's really good at sitting on the field and just not dying. But
I will say that is not my experience playing against Gouging Fire.
well, we'll get to that.
Shut up.
No.
That is not my experience.
So right off the bat, I kind of knew I was like, this team has a lot of potential. So it was me, Kareem, Matthias Long, and Aaron Trailer, and we were kind of all building this for Charlotte. And we were just kind of going through matchups, and we were like, yeah, this is good, this is good. We don't know whether this is good or not, but let's just run it and see how it does. Aaron, I think, went X3, and I made day 2. I got top 32. And I was like, yeah, this team's pretty good. I wouldn't say, like, I didn't have a single game that I lost where I got 2-0'd, besides, I think, 1. And it was me not knowing how to play the Gouging Fire Mirror at all. So it was kind of just like a live and learn moment, which I'm not too mad about. Pretty much Charlotte was what built this run. So I say I'll take a top 32 if it means getting a second place.
Right.
But this, I would say, yeah, basically I was like, yeah, team's good. I don't really feel like changing it. And I had a lot of other things to do in between Charlotte and Knoxville, so I didn't really bother testing anything. I was kind of confident in obviously, I'm usually a player that's confident in their ability to just take a team and pilot it as long as I'm comfortable with it, regardless of meta. Like, as long as I know what the team does, how it reacts to most common cores in the game, I'll be like, yeah, sure, I'll just run it, and if I can play it, I can play it. And that was kind of
to beat Evan in your run.
sorry, man. Look, I got a job to do, but it was very much like I would say, especially because I think on Twitter everyone was like, yeah, the format kind of feels like it's changing every week and no one really knows what to do about it. And I was very much just off in my own bubble, like, yeah, Gouging Fire, King Gambit is fun, like, but I think compared to like a lot of, I would say I did get a lot of people asking about the team between Charlotte and Knoxville, and it was namely just because it was, I think it was the highest, no, it wasn't the highest placing team, like Gouging Fire team besides Luca's, but it was very much like we discussed it after the regional, and it kind of seemed like a lot of the sets would eventually like slot into that if Luca had the decision to like adjust some of his Pokemon, like namely the Terra Dragon King Gambit was like the big one. It just gives you a lot of defensive potential, but like I said, basically I was very comfortable with these 6. I didn't really care that it was a couple weeks after Charlotte. In fact, I think this kind of helped because so many people had moved on from things that I didn't really want to fight necessarily. Like Archrain was a really, really big pain in the butt when I played it at Charlotte. And part of that probably comes with the fact that I was inexperienced with the team as a whole. Like, I didn't that many games under my belt with it, especially with Gouging Fire compared to Entei. But it also helped that I didn't have to play Archaludon Rain at all at this tournament. I will say P2 balance was a lot more common, so that also kind of became annoying. So, like, it wasn't necessarily that, you know, all the annoying teams dropped off the face of the earth. It was just so much that I got more used to fighting the annoying teams, and also I didn't want to fight Archaludon. Archaludon is the least fun Pokemon to fight in the format with Scarf or Shifu.
Can you give us like a little taste of what your plan was into the P2 balance team? Because it seems hard.
Yeah. So basically it was kind of just rip through everything with Landorus Eye. If you can start early game, like just kind of blowing through things, they don't really have a lot of options end game. Like the P2 the Ting Lu Como version is a little different, but like baseline like P2 balance without Ting Lu or Como, it was kind of just okay, get Lando Eye like to start, like just click Earth Power. Just keep clicking Earth Power. Because not a lot of Pokemon have answers into Earth Power plus Wood Hammer, like especially from just a Life Orb Lando and a Meadow Plate Rillaboom. That and Taunt creates a lot of options like that they have to deal with now, especially on Porygon 2, which is, I would say it's annoying that Pollen Puff like can recover the P2, which because it means it basically doesn't care about Taunt. It doesn't have to recover. But it definitely does close off options for things like Amoonguss. It closes off options. Even like in the Como version, it stops Como from setting up, stops Porygon from Trick Rooming. It's a little tough. Like I'm kind of just giving like, oh yeah, you just kind of click buttons and hope for the best. But like it very much is a war of attrition where like versus Evan, I had to basically like half my Pokemon just went to sleep and I kind of just waited everything out because he had P2 and Amoonguss on the field for like half the game and he couldn't really break through Gouging Fire and like Ogerpon. So I was just kind of waiting to wake up and like start howling. And once I did, like I like game 1, I had to call it was Landorus P2 versus Ogerpon and Gouging Fire in Trick Room. And I was like, well, I'd probably lose this game. So I'm just going to go for a Hornleech into Lando, predicting a switch to the Terra Grass or the Terra Water Amoonguss. And I got the call right, and then Gouging Fire woke up as well, and I got a Howl off, which meant I could double into the P2 and knock it out when Trick Room went down. So it kind of was very much just like, okay, wake up kind of scenario. Like, unfortunately, that's just kind of the matchup. You just got to wake up or, have something go your way.
You're going to take some spores. I see.
Yeah, like, I have, like, a lot of people try to get around the spore. They try to get around, like, them trying to set up something. I'm just like, nope, you just take it and hope for the best, because I think it's definitely a matchup where they have a lot of bulky, slow Pokemon that don't really do a lot. So it's best to kind of facilitate that. If they're going to play like with these super awkward modes that don't necessarily do damage, but they're going to facilitate something to come in and do damage, you might as well play to that. So just sit there and take the sleep, because eventually they're going to have to switch out to get those offensive guys in. And if they're not doing that, then that means they're staying on the field with Porygon and Amoonguss, and they're not taking advantage of the Trick Room that well. So it was just wait it out, and then eventually you're going to get your turn to hit because you're going to wake up. And if they want to risk switching in something to expedite that process, then yeah, sure. If you wake up, you just hit and you win the game.
Right. You're really taking advantage of how passive they are. Yeah.
Yeah. That was probably the toughest matchup, I would say, going into the regional. I was I don't really know what to do, but we're going to figure it out.
Can I quickly interrupt you? Lorcy, thank you for the raid. Really appreciate it. And congrats on your run at Knoxville too. Congrats on making day 2. Go ahead.
Sorry. But yeah, that was kind of namely the big matchup I was super worried about. Everything else I was, like I said, I was kind of just in my own bubble. I didn't really care that some the meta was kind of undefined right now. Like I said, it kind of made me feel better because I felt like no one else knew what to do, and I was just yeah, I'm really good with this team. I feel very confident in it. And I think that kind of I kind of felt like that during the tournament. I felt like my play was very on point for the most part. Keyword for the most part, because we'll get to some points where I definitely didn't play that well, but I think for the most part my play was very, very good in this tournament. I went 8-1 day 1. I went 8-0, lost the last round. I kind of misplayed, but I was super content anyways, because I was I just went 8-0, and 8-1 is a great start to the next day. But
whose fire was faster, yours or Logan's? My understanding
Logan's was faster, actually.
My understanding is that's the whole matchup. Am I dumb? That's kind of what I thought it was.
You Terra Fairy, right? And then you can't.
Yeah, I would say you Terra Fairy.
Terra, and then one of them is Iron Head, and it's just kind of annoying.
Yeah, no, Logan had AV Iron Head on his King Gambit, and I would say he had Terra Grass on his Gouging Fire, which made it a little easier. I don't think I made the right calls in some of the games, which I would say it's just bound to happen. You're playing 9 rounds of Pokemon, you're just gonna get some plays just wrong. That's what I mean is I would say I felt like I played within the realm of as good as a regional finalist can get. I'm very, very happy with my play at this tournament. So I'm not very mad that I made some misplays or I slipped up in some scenarios. Because I felt for the most part what I did was relatively sound.
That's kind of one of the things that gets me too, is it's very easy to watch these regionals back and be oh, why were they perfect here? Why weren't they perfect here?
Yeah.
You know? I mean, we all do the same thing when I assume most of us at some point VOD review or at least spectate what goes on in regionals that we don't attend. And I'm sure we all do it too. Why wouldn't they make that play? But you are not going to be perfect all the time. So
totally. You're saying this, and I'm constantly looping the same 10 seconds where I Ivy Cudgel into Incineroar instead of just click follow me.
Yeah. I'm so sorry.
No, you're good.
I mean, yeah.
Look, I was tired, man.
The same game, I went for an intricate 4-turn plan where I was setting you up to taunt my Incineroar as I switched in towards it. Wait, I can't set Tailwind if I'm taunted.
But
we both. Everyone does it. Right?
So what is it? I think day 1, nothing really super stand out. Besides, I would say I played Conkeldonk in the Global Challenge, and then I proceeded to pull him, and we had the same teams that we did in the Global Challenge that we did at the regional. I would say I kind of misplayed in our Global Challenge set where I probably should have double protected in a turn where I just went for an attack and the Golden Goat knocked me out. But I was okay, well, I get to run it back out the regional, and now I'm a little bit wiser, a little bit more patient. Yeah, walk, don't run, especially when it comes to Dondozo. But I was very comfortable with this matchup. I was just it's Dozo. I have Gouging Fire and a Sash Flutter. They can't really do much to that lead. And then Rillaboom and Landorus kind of just come in and wall because you just click fake out sub and then would move.
While you're saying that you played him at the Global Challenge, I do want to say it was just kind of funny is because it's a wired connection on every Switch stand for the tournaments. Between rounds, there were so many people just queuing GC games, just their round ends immediately, and then you just go straight into a GC game. And it was just the funniest thing I've ever seen. In the beginning of in day 2 as well, the guy next to me, like got there early, which was playing GC games, like while his opponent was in front of him,
Bro.
waiting.
Like, most people do
I
not
could not
believe in
do
mental
that.
fatigue. Like they don't
Yeah,
think
I
that they
could
can
not
get
do
tired.
that. That's
It
insane.
was awesome. I'm like, you know what? You like this game more than I do. Like,
I love Pokemon. I don't love being like having a headache and
Oh
wanting
my
to die at the end of the
It was
day.
Yeah.
so funny. I'm just here and I'm like, did the round start? It's like, no, it did not. But this guy's grind never stops. Like, it was awesome.
But
And
Yeah,
that's what
day one-
Confidant was doing too, was just queuing GC games like between rounds.
yeah, but yeah. So that was kind of a funny thing that happened. Other than that, day one was relatively standard. I played a fair amount of side spams. I played Joe again for the 800th time. And I would say for the most part, relatively standard day one for James Evans. Day two, I immediately start by playing Avery.
Oh, that made me like you like a lot less. The way you just
Wow,
said
that's
that. I'm not
sorry.
gonna lie.
Well, I just meant like.
Go 8-1, standard day one for the James Evans.
Oh well, I didn't mean that. I just meant like.
I was flawless. No one could touch me.
Oh,
for the
yeah,
first 8
it's
Just
rounds.
as it always
Anyways,
I'm 6'4". I have a Maserati. It's a standard day for James Evans.
My biceps are 15.
oh my god.
I have a
Now
black belt
I'm
in
never gonna hear
Brazilian
the end of
Jiu-Jitsu.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. My junior black belt or my black belt in junior mixed martial arts. Can't touch me.
Didn't drop a
But,
game. Everyone told me I was handsome. It's just me
Yeah.
being James Evans.
Dude, people appreciated the scarf. I was so happy. I was so happy people liked
It's
it.
good. It's good when your fit pops off.
No, dude, I felt amazing. It was awesome. Anyways, besides the weird ego boost, I apologize, but
Just a day in the life.
it's just a day in the life.
Well, it's one of
I
those
played-
things, right? Yeah, like I'm sure when you're an experienced player like James, like you're expecting results somewhere on the spectrum of like, I'm going to probably do at least 6-3 unless like someone, like slips some poison into my coffee.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to do at least 6-3. 7-2 would be nice. 8-1 would be better. Like
Yeah.
you're expecting some distribution of outcomes that includes 8-1, and like 9-0 would be a big surprise. It's always a big surprise to
Exactly.
go undefeated. And then it's like, it's not standard per se. Like I'm very happy when I go X1 personally. Something had to go right for that to happen.
No,
was like,
I was
"Ah,
happy.
What's
like, it's
that
in the range of
like?
expected results."
What is
It
that
was-
like?
What?
Roger, you day two the last 3 regionals you've attended. I don't want to hear it.
I did not. The last two.
But what is it? I say honestly, I kind of felt I say like not just like another day in the life, but like I did feel relatively because normally I'm a pretty eccentric player when it comes to like how I act, how I portray myself, but like day one I was kind of just like
I do celebrate.
yeah, day one I was kind of just like, all right, yeah, nice. Like I was very calm about it, and I really did enjoy actually having that. Like it just felt very, I don't know, like neutral, but like very baseline. I felt like I was just kind of playing the game at my pace, and like I felt like I was playing good, but I wasn't like getting ahead of myself, which I've always kind of had trouble doing, especially if you like watched me like earlier in 2023. But like I would say, felt very good just kind of playing through day one, going 8-1, and I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna go back to my room and I'm gonna get some sleep.
Yep.
And then day two starts. I play Avery, and she kind of trashed me. I'm not gonna lie. Avery and I used to.
She was on
She-
fire this tour.
No, she was playing incredible. Avery and I used to. I would say Avery and I like used to play in seniors together, and she just beat me every time there. Super good player. It's really cool to see her back after like all these years. She what is it? She top 8 Worlds in 2018, like in seniors. So like just very strong player that I'm really happy to see back.
Oh, is that who that was?
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so I took game one off of calling like I was like, all right, I'm gonna lead King Gambit and just try to go for Swords Dance shenanigans, and that worked out perfectly. She led Instant and P2, and I just kind of went off. But game 2 and game 3, she just led Kobo P2, and I was like, I can't break this. So it was just really, really tough in general, but she played very, very well. But I say then I played against Luca, who unfortunately had his Flutterman removed due to like a team sheet error or something, and I felt really, really bad. In hindsight, it probably didn't come to the matchup, but being down one Pokemon is definitely
it makes it easier on your end, right? Because you can sort of eliminate stuff for free. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I would say it's also just not where you want to be mentally. So I felt really bad that we had to meet under circumstances like that because Luca's a great player. We discussed these archetypes a lot, just because we did run very similar teams. We ran 5 out of the same 6 Pokemon, so we shared a lot of ideas and everything. So it really kind of sucked to meet then and there, but he played well still. And then we get to my favorite part of the day. I get to talk about this finally. I go up against Andrew Nowak, and while a majority of the set, I would say Andrew played well. I don't feel like I played very well, especially in game 1 and game 2, but I'm able to win game 2. And then it comes down to game 3, and I feel like I'm kind of misplaying. I'm not playing well, but it's an end game. I have a position. He is Choice Specs Max Speed Fluttermane. I am, of course, Max Speed Fluttermane myself. So it's speed tie. I win the speed tie to knock out the opposing Fluttermane with my Gleam. The Raging Bolt thunderclaps me. I am at 4 HP, and it's at 65% HP. So, naturally, you're going to click Thunderclap, just so that way you can, you outrun and not die. And I'm gonna let you in on a little secret here. And I do this every time. I would say there are very few plays that I directly think about where I'm if I'm in the opponent's shoes, what am I doing? I mean, that's probably poor advice, but you should do that a lot. You should think about what your opponent, if you were your opponent, what would you do? Yeah. But I would say specifically in Sucker Punch scenarios, because I have not played a lot of these, but I would say as someone who was running King Gambit at the tournament, my mentality, and this was my mentality for Chien Pao in Reg C, Reg D, I click Sucker Punch 8 times in a row because no matter what, I would say you at least have a 100% odd of eventually, because all the pressure's on them to make a move. They either make a move and protect or they make a move and attack. And I would say I at least know by locking Sucker Punch 8 times in a row that I have a 100% chance of going for Sucker Punch 8 times in a row. And every single turn, that odd of them, predicting whether or not I'm going to go for Sucker Punch either increases or decreases. I don't know if that makes any sense, but eventually someone cracks under pressure and they go for an attack. And then the Sucker Punch lands and you win the game. So in my head, I'm if I'm him, I'm clicking Thunderclap 8 times in a row.
7, I guess, because he'd already hit 1, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 7 times in a row. Yeah. Because if I'm him, that's what I would do. So I click Protect 7 times in a row. And I win the set.
Yep.
I don't feel like I should have won, but I did. And I don't know how to phrase it other than that. It's just, I would say, I didn't even get up from the table, and I felt I was I just did that, but I was just
yeah,
I definitely need to tell someone.
If you're in Drew's shoes, you have to sign that match slip, and it doesn't feel good.
Yeah, I was sitting there, and I was I don't feel like I should have won this. I don't but I was I got 7 in a row correct, so I was all right, well, I'll take it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I would say that will always just be a cool story because I would say I don't think I've ever gotten, I would say you can call it consecutive 50-50s. I don't really think it's a 50-50. I think Sucker Punch mind games are a little, I would say not
lopsided, I guess.
Yeah, I was gonna say a lot of the, I think a lot more of the pressure is on the person that has to deal with it than if you're being Sucker Punched or Thunderclapped into, a lot more pressure is on you to get that call right every single turn than I think it is clicking Sucker Punch. So I don't know how to.
You have to be precise.
You're
the person that's trying to not die, and the person who, it's the Sucker Puncher has a hammer, and you have a pair of scissors, and you're trying to catch the handle with the scissors, and they're just trying to hit you with the hammer.
Yeah, but that was a really cool moment in the run, and then I was say, I'm never getting this lived down. I have poor, horrible word choicing.
No, you're fine. It's just run.
Tough takes, and y'all are soft, so you gotta.
Sorry. But I was like, play Lorcy. I was Jugulus Blood Moon was an interesting matchup that I didn't really ever prep, but I would say this is another matchup where, I'll say I don't think I've mentioned this before, but the Sash Flutter main was really, really useful during this tournament. I love Sash Flutter main.
Yeah, how did you come into putting the set together? Because I think it's very, very, very strong this format in a way that it wasn't actually as strong in previous formats.
I agree a ton. So my philosophy was going in was that I would say I've never been a big Flutter main user. I never liked it in Reg C, never liked it in Reg D, never liked it in Reg E. But what it has going for it in this format, I think, is a lot of more I would say a lot more of the attackers that you would run into. So there's only one Pokemon that will ever get past Focus Sash, and it's Urshifu. Actually, no, that's wrong. There's two Pokemon.
Iron Crown.
Yes, Iron Crown. But for the most part, every Pokemon in this game hits once. And a lot of them are very high power, frail Pokemon.
Wiglet.
The biggest example, I think, is Blood Moon Ursaluna.
You're not supposed to drop the Orlando text so quickly, Rajan. The fact that I was holding Wiglet and I mentioned it before the podcast, that was a secret, and I don't think we could talk to you.
That's fair. Would you love me if I was a Wiglet?
The biggest example, I think, is Blood Moon Ursaluna. Very, very, super offensive Pokemon that just clicks a slot and it blows it up. If it does not do that, it oftentimes will lose the game. Because if it's not taking a knockout into whatever it needs to at the current point in time, it just kind of crumples. And Fluttermane is normally a Pokemon that really likes fighting Blood Moon Ursaluna, even if it gets hit by the Hyper Voice still. Because you just live the Hyper Voice normally. Granted, I would say there are just a lot of scenarios. This is just kind of one of them, but this was a good matchup that I often brought Sash Flare into was Blood Moon because you don't have to worry about ever switching in and risking your Fluttermane. You're always going to live a hit guaranteed. Here's a better way to put it. Because I didn't like I didn't like Specs, I didn't like Booster Energy, and I didn't like any of the other items that gave Flutter some kind of power boost in either its speed or its offense. And Sash was really the only defensive item you could give Fluttermane. And it's not even so much defensive as it is.
You could give it Booster Energy with a special defense boost.
Oh, you can do that.
My mistake. Ooh. Yes. But it was very much one of those things where I was a big fan of Calyrex in 2022. Very weird comparison, but I started with Specs there as well. And I liked the damage output, but I didn't like the necessarily kind of super borderline linear nature that it has to follow. There's just not a lot of range that you have with a Pokemon like that, especially because Specs Flutter really only has 3 moves, and then you add Parasong as your Como answer, P2 Balance Como answer. So it really only operates with 3 moves at a given time, which is very similar to Specs Calyrex. You pretty much just had your Ghost move, your Psychic move, and then Mud Shot. So I very much applied the philosophy of going from a Specs Calyrex to a Sash Calyrex, where it's a walk don't run kind of thing, where I don't really need all this offense immediately as long as I'm on the field and I'm causing problems for the opponent. This Fluttermane is sticking around longer than it has to. It's always living hits. It's always going to outrun them because it doesn't have to worry about its speed stat. It's just max. And I get to cause a lot of problems just by existing on the field and protecting and stalling things out. Yeah. It gives me the freedom of move choice, which is also super important. I think Fluttermane values that a lot. But into super heavily offensive Pokemon like Ursaluna, Chi-Yu, or even other Fluttermanes, it is such a tremendously good answer because you just don't have to worry about how your Fluttermane can get knocked out turn 1. A really good example was the Tailwind Glamora matchup, where a lot of their team relies on high offensive output off the bat, and if it can't accomplish that, then it kind of crumples. So a lot of the Pokemon either have to be built super frail offensively to maximize that potential, or they are running super bulky in order to have some form of defense on the team. And with Sash Flutter, I didn't really have to ever care. I could just lead it off the bat and just with something like Ogerpon, I can just wail on them and they lose them on always turn 1, and then I can start stalling the Tailwind. So I would say overall I just really liked it. I would say it's much more of like a personal choice in my opinion. Like specs and booster energies are always like super good, but I personally love Sash Fluttermane. I could not recommend this set more. It was one of my favorites like during the tournament. I would say the only set I probably liked more was probably my Rillaboom. I will defend this Rillaboom until I die. Easily the best Pokemon on the team, but that was I think that was a really good thing to highlight Rajan, where it was just like I would say this was the highest placing Fluttermane in the tournament, and it was a defensive item more than it was an offensive item, and I think people really should keep an eye out more for those with especially Fluttermane, because I think it's a Pokemon that a lot of people kind of just zone in on, and they assume, it's so standard, it's so good. Run specs, do high damage, or run speed booster, and help your other guys out. No, I think there's still a lot of potential to delve deeper with Pokemon like this, and I really think people should at least try to, more than anything. It's a really good thing to kind of experiment with.
My first GC loss was to a Focus Sash Fluttermane that clicked Trick Room with a Swords Dance Incineroar next to it.
Okay, that's a different kind of experimenting. But,
Fluttermane, Incineroar. Okay. I'm cooking. Yeah.
Oh no, yeah.
Right. Let's
but
get the top cut, James.
yeah, my bad. Sorry. So yeah, I played Nora in the first round of Cup. Definitely should not have won that set. I feel at least game one. This might be, far as I remember, probably the luckiest I've ever gotten like in my life on record. Joe UX and I would beg to differ, but it was game one. Nora is playing incredibly well. She is calling every turn right, basically. I'm not really making a lot of ground. And it gets to a point where I'm -1 Fluttermane and Ogerpon left versus Scarf or Shifu, Raging Bolt, and an Incineroar. And I'm able to get some damage down, but the AV Raging Bolt is kind of just being stalwart, and I can't really break it. So I need to... And, she calls my Spiky Shield perfectly, and I can't really do much about it. So I am now in a position where Incin is on the field, Raging Bolt's on the field, and I have a -1 Fluttermane, and I can't really do a lot of damage. And I can't Terra Fairy because if she fakes out into the Fluttermane, I'm kind of screwed. Because I need my Sash intact still. So I'm kind of like, okay, well, game's probably lost. But if I get a crit into this Raging Bolt, it might be different. So I go for a double Spiky Shield with Ogerpon. I get that, and then I get the crit onto the Raging Bolt. So that was really, really big. So, and she targets into the Ogerpon with Incin, so my Sash is still intact, which is really, really big for this end game. And then Urshifu comes in, I Terra Fairy, Moonblast that, and so now it's 60% Incin versus -1 Fluttermane, that is Terra Fairy, and then I proceed to crit that Moonblast. So I got 2 crits and a double protect to win the game, which is really, really, really cheap. I feel really bad by winning that way.
I no longer feel remotely bad about my day one matchups. Not even slight. The agricultural kit on Drew must have been, the plan.
Fate.
That must have just been how things were gonna go.
What? Yeah, but
that's like Ashton Cox 2014 level stuff. Oh yeah, I burned 14 out of 20 heat waves that I landed.
Oh my god.
Rajan, you are muted.
What is it?
No, I was roasting. I was saying I can't do tub takes without making fun of James. It's just kind of...
Jesus, man. Leave me alone, man.
I'm only on this show when you are, and I have to,
Jesus. Dude, you're going to get the comments. He's like, why is he so mean to him?
Why is he mean to that child?
So
why is James so
child.
mean to Nora? With these 2 crits and this double protect? What? Did you know that the crit chance was changed somewhat recently? Not actually that recent. I thought it was still 1/16, and it's 1/24 now.
Yeah.
Rajan knows about that. Yeah. Wait, Rajan, you want to tell the story about that?
What?
I felt
About the crit chance changing. You want to tell you a story about that?
Oh my god, dude.
Is it the one where I called everyone dumb for thinking PS was wrong? I don't remember.
Yeah, that's the one.
Oh my
that's
God.
the story.
But
I told it really well because I didn't remember it.
Damn. Okay, keep going, James.
But yeah, I felt really bad taking game 1 like I did, but I was like, you know what? You take it, just run with it. Because I wasn't necessarily confident in my matchup either. I thought it was a tough matchup. Game 2 goes a lot smoother. I kind of just get Lando in, do a lot of damage, sub up by end game. And I will take a minute to shout out Nori here. Really great sport, really good player. Just really happy to see her in cut for the first time. So, she was very, very chill about it.
I would have never guessed that's how that game one went based on how she handled it.
Yeah, no, she came over and hugged
really
me.
surprising. I thought it was like a totally normal set based on how she responded. So that's impressive.
No, she's an incredibly great sport. So, yeah. And then I get the top 4 versus Enrique, and I was a little curious about how this matchup was going to go. It looked very in my favor, just there's nothing really here that stops Landorus at all. I kind of just click Earth Power 6 times.
I don't want to say it, but I have to say it because we are on Tub Takes, and that is the point.
Okay.
But I don't understand Enrique's team one bit.
I
don't want to be
struggle
dismissive, but it looks like dog shit. I'm sorry. I don't understand.
I struggle to necessarily grasp. Obviously, I didn't really understand namely the Friddraft set. I didn't get that in the Entei, but the Friddraft kind of felt like a mix between the defensive support one and the offensive one. And I think here's my Tub take. I think offensive Giraffe is incredibly good. I think defensive Giraffe is plain out awful. I think it is terrible.
It does have a base 120 special attack stat.
Yeah, exactly. Use it. It's its second best stat, or its best one. I don't know, but it's
best one.
Okay. I would say it was between those two, but
it's 120 HP, 110 special attack. But yeah, it's wrong.
I'm so sorry.
I would say Friddraft is. I think what made Wolf's team so strong, Wolf and Roxanne's winning team, was you literally just pivot with your one slot and you click Hyper Voice 7 times until you win the game. And people were just yeah, I don't know how to beat this. And I'm you just get rid of the Giraffe, because once the Giraffe is gone, it's not clicking Specs Hyper Voice every turn.
Yeah, and just clicking Fake Out is not enough to win a game, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I think offensive Giraffe has a lot more just staying power. I would say, weirdly enough, because it's actually doing things every turn.
Well, it has room to run Protect, right? Because it's not being given the burden of supporting the entire team.
Yeah. So it's, I would say, I feel like it has a lot more potential to not only move forward in the game, but push more momentum. But because it didn't have Psychic, it kind of meant that King Gambit still didn't care. Even with Gleam, it still doesn't care, but because it
just doesn't take any damage.
Yeah, exactly. So it was Psychic can't. Psychic doesn't exist, so my Rillaboom isn't really under pressure to take a lot of damage. My Ogerpon isn't. My Lando isn't. Basically everything on the team didn't have to be threatened at all. So I was very clear into my game plan. I was I'm gonna click Earth Power a bunch of times. I'm gonna get Ogerpon in and threaten a lot. My Rillaboom threatens a lot. Because another issue I think with for a draft in general is that teams like this want to bring all 6 of their Pokemon, but they can't. And for a draft is usually the first to get axed because it doesn't do anything besides stop priority. And I would say this is my personal opinion, not just a Tub take, but it's I think if you have to play the game with Armor Tail or anything that kind of stops a fundamental piece of the game, and you have to bring it every single time, I don't think it's necessarily good. I think things
hard agree.
Giraffe is a Pokemon that kind of hard spoon feeds you into playing a certain way because you're I want to stop priority. Well, if you couldn't stop priority before you had Giraffe, then you probably don't deserve the Giraffe.
Or every time when someone's building their team and then they're why are you putting this on it? You have a Giraffe. Why are you putting this on it? You have a Giraffe.
It's
occasionally the mon's not on the board, and occasionally I have a lot of offense where I have Terra Ghost on something still because you want to be able to you want to.
There are a lot of pieces on this team, to be fair, that are very good in the absence of Friddraft against priority Pokemon, right? Rocky Helmet of Mungus punishes Fake Out spam really effectively. Actually, Fluttermane is very efficient with double redirection at shutting down Scarf Urshifu, the kinds of Pokemon that you might otherwise need speed control against, especially with that double redirection, which is enabling Friddraft to sweep with normal move. And actually, to an extent, enabling Entei to click Sacred Fire a lot, which is really good. And it just feels this is one of the principles behind the Charlotte Iron Crown team that I ran that we're not talking about on this episode of Tough Takes, where yeah, there's that whole Iron Crown thing, but like, okay, you're gonna bring your dark types, and then I'm going to bring Indeedee and Ogrepon and Fluttermane, and I'm going to click follow me 4 times in the game and click Terra Fairy Dazzling Gleam 4 times, and then your team is going to die. Like, he has that capacity in his team, while having a well-rounded balance core between Ogrepon, Instant, and Mungus. I think the thing that I would probably change is, like, I'd make the Entei, like, Citrus Berry or
any other item.
Or, like, some sort of item. Like, I get the Clear Amulet because it shuts down Instant completely, but I feel like over-indexing on that Instant situation is probably
I think even Covert Cloak is better because Covert Cloak stops everything that Clear Amulet does for the most part.
Clam is for parting shot.
Yeah, Clam is for parting shot.
Okay.
But Clam means they can't switch out with parting shot if you switch it.
Gotcha.
Or if you protect the slot that's next to it, and then Entei just gets to
on
the board.
Okay,
and I know Toler went into a spiel because I was extremely mean in my comments.
Well, he made top 4, so like
I understand. Like
I've always sort of valued. I would say because this is just how I played the game growing up. Was like this sounds like it's like when I back in my day, but like I'm also the youngest person in the call, which is crazy. But like back in my day, I didn't really. I would say like with Tapus, there was a considerable like portion of players that were just like, or like even in Gen 7, it's just like there were a considerable portion of players that just like to. Not necessarily like skip the game, but like there's always players that play more honest than others. There are players that like to use strategies that are more geared towards invalidating certain fundamentals of the game more than others. Like Shadow Tags.
You have to call me and my love of Gothitelle out like this.
No, dude, I love Gothitelle too. But like Shadow Tag,
mine and my fast normal types that OHKO every Pokemon.
Yeah, but my relaxed Max Snorlax that defeated all other game plans. Come on, man.
But what is it? There will always be like intrinsically, I think, Pokemon that just ignore the game more than others, and I'm not usually a fan of those Pokemon, even though I really like Golden Go. Yeah, like I would say, everyone,
really interesting.
Everyone gets one. Everyone gets one Pokemon that ignores the game that they really like. But even with like I think Psychic terrains or like Tapus, where the terrains can kind of be shut off at will as long as you have the right tools, and I would say it's a similar thing with these Pokemon, except the option is knocking them out more than anything. But I think a lot of it kind of stems from like I didn't really grow up playing the game in a way where you can just simply turn off something. Or usually I didn't like playing that way. Like in 18, I didn't like playing Mega Gengar. Like I would say in Gen 8, I didn't really like a lot of archetypes just simply because I didn't like the way that they not so much ignored the game, but so much they dodged so much.
One kind of interesting thing about the set, James, that kind of like there was one of these games where Enrique actually it looked like had like close to a lock, or it depended on your Rillaboom spread. But he just needed to like click follow me with his Ogrepon and click Dazzling Gleam with his Fluttermane, and he didn't, and then got glided with his Fluttermane. Like, do you remember that game?
Was that game 1 or 2?
I think it might have been 1, but yeah.
I think it's 1, yeah.
And then his Flutter just died.
I was kind of shocked that his Moonblast picked up my Rillaboom. But I think. Because if he follow me's there, he has to Moonblast into Ogrepon. Or were you saying he gleams, right?
He would have needed to. It was a situation where he needed to get your like 55% Rillaboom with a Specs.
Okay, yeah.
Like it was not guaranteed, but yeah.
Yeah. So I think in that scenario, because King Gambit is still at full HP, so like my end game was like no matter what he locks into, I feel relatively confident to close this with King Gambit and Landorus, because Landorus just tears the poison. And it's either going to Wall Gleam and it's going to Wall Gleam and live Cudgel at that point, or it's going to he has to double into it with Moonblast Cudgel and hope that kills.
Lando and Rillaboom seemed like a really powerful combo for you in this matchup.
I really liked it here. And like with Ogrepon, it just felt so powerful to like close the set out. But like, I think. I definitely think I had matchup here, which is like kind of just an easy thing to say in hindsight. But I definitely felt like I thought all 6 Pokemon I had could have justifiable reason to be brought. It just so happened that like Rillaboom Lando is very hard to stop, especially with taunt on the Rillaboom, which means he can't really do any support shenanigans with the fridge giraffe or the ensign. And like I can even shut down things like Rage Powder, Spore, or Follow Me on the Ogre Pawn, and that means the Ogre Pawn can't protect. And like really the only Pokemon that can stay in and confidently do a lot of damage is Entei. And Entei dropped to an IV Cudgel, which I was kind of shocked by. I thought I actually had lost game 2. But it turns out like doubling into the Entei was kind of better than targeting the Ogre Pawn with Glide and Cudgeling, because it probably would have been more worrisome if the Entei was left alive and then the Fluttermane came in and then he can E-Speed Moonblast into my Ogre Pawn or my Rillaboom, and that gets bad. So taking both knockouts at the same time actually I thought was better for the game than anything else. But I digress. I don't think it was a pretty solid matchup. So I will just leave it at that. And then finals, I'll be real with you. It was so long since we had played in Swiss. Like I would say by then it was like, I don't want to say 5 hours, but maybe like 4 hours.
It had been a while, but that
had been a
fresh
while
on my mind.
Yeah, so I was like, I was
soul.
very worried because I was like, oh crap, I just forgot like everything. But like, game 1.
What is he gonna think to do? Like he beat me.
Yeah,
already.
I was super embarrassing. I was like, crap, I
forgot.
forgot. And he's probably got like 20 new game plans.
Toler had the advantage, right, of losing the set in Swiss.
Yeah, exactly.
But losing the set in Swiss in the top cut rematch is mwah. Because Toler's been grinding that matchup out in his head repeatedly.
Well, yeah, that's what I was like. I was worried too because like I was sitting here 80% of the day just waiting to play my sets, and like I've had to focus on those because it's one game at a time.
L into rematch is beautiful.
But I was gonna say, game 1, I think I hard misplayed. Should have just go Follow Me in Dazzling Gleam. But I would say very, very long day, so I'm not like too bothered. I was gonna say like then it zooms into my head. I was like, if only I clicked it. Like, but no, I thought I was like, it happens. I'm not too bothered, and I think I say more importantly than anything, you can say you misplayed game 1, and it doesn't really mean jack anything like jack squad. If I would say Toler played excellently game 2, and I'm not very mad that I lost that one. Because
we both definitely had the stage nerves in game 1, right?
Yeah.
Like, if all I did in game, instead of going for that like weird sequence that I went for, if all I did was just like protect, attempt to bleak windstorm, and then tailwind, make it rain, and ship both of your mons down, you literally can't win. It's like, why am I worried?
It felt like I wish. I was maybe I shouldn't have been so tired. Maybe I should have paid more attention. These things happen, and in my head I was like, you know what? I'm completely okay with this. Sometimes these things just happen, and I went into this tournament with 0 expectations. I think I literally told Toler I got to the airport for Knoxville, and I was like, I went into EWR, and I was like just standing there because not only was I like in an airport by myself for like the second time ever in my life. I walked in, and like for 15 minutes I kind of just unfortunately. I walked in like to the terminal, and I stood there for 15 minutes like frozen, and I was pondering whether or not I was like, what if I just didn't get on the flight?
Right. Yeah. Because
I was like, what if I
a lot of Pokemon, right? Like your body's kind of afraid of it because it's like it's a lot of stress to put yourself under.
It was very much like and this is kind of funny is like generally I noticed this when I'm very close to just like giving up or calling it quits, I generally tend to have very, very good performances that I don't necessarily expect. And I say, if there's any piece of advice that I can give, because I'm not very good at advice most of the time, I think personally, I kind of give very weird advice, or people just look at me and like, okay, that just happened. But I definitely think, because I've always been a very results-driven player. I think even Toler brought that up earlier, where it was like, you kind of expect to do well at the certain level, like a certain echelon. Once you hit it, you kind of just expect to do well enough, simply because of the person that you are. And for a very, very long time,
obviously, is like you judge yourself against that expectation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you're very critical of yourself, and for a very, very long time, I would say I was very critical of myself. Like especially last year, I was very emotional on stream most of the time. I was very just flailing around excited, and I'm not gonna say that like I was wrong, but I was definitely like a lot more excitable and just like kind of I'm not what, how would you phrase it? Like exposed? Like I don't know, like just like open, I guess is a good way to put it. Where I was very just up in the air because I wanted to be good. I wanted to prove myself. Like I wanted to, be like, yeah, I'm him. Like I'm good at this game. But recently I've been kind of just trying to prioritize enjoying the game more than anything, and I think that's really paid off. Like I got to Knoxville and I was very much just like in the mindset of like, once I got on the plane, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna be here with friends. I'm gonna enjoy my time here, and that's really all I could ask for, more than anything. So I definitely think, I would say that also comes with a lot of personal life choices I've been making, but just in an attempt to better myself as a player and a person. I've tried to enjoy the game a lot more than necessarily have to prove myself to be the best. And I definitely would recommend that. Just play Pokemon. You're here for a good time, not a long one. And you just kind of want to, I say, just play by that. Just, enjoy your time.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of enjoying our time, Toler, I know you said you got a dip real soon, so I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Oh shoot, my bad.
What's your smart money for Dortmund? Who's your pick?
I would love to pick one of my friends, right? Like I know that Julian Pinheiro Fernandez was at Liverpool and ran the archery team that I've been working on that I might have brought to that I very easily could have brought to Knoxville. And I know he's going to Dortmund, and I want him to succeed, so I want to do something like that. But I suppose I should also have like a more standard answer. I think, I mean, he's certainly not due. But he's very good, and he did very well with like 4 Pokemon. Marco Fierro, I think, is a great shot if he's going.
That's my goat.
He's just a very good player. And then I think if Desu can get over having.
No, you can't take 2. You can't take 2. I need Desu.
Oh, I'm so sorry. People that had 4 Pokemon in general, if they had 6 Pokemon, it's very, very impressive people. But I'll just say Julian because I think he's been grinding and he'd be great to win.
All right. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. We're gonna keep going. We got to cover. We got to talk about Melbourne regionals now.
All right, after I'm gonna dip.
All right,
2 tough games in a row.
I just want to highlight for Melbourne Taunt in Cinnabar instead of Will-O-Wisp. People have been seeing Will-O-Wisp on the Roaring Moon team, but now it's Taunt. What does it mean? All right, I'm gonna go.
See,
peace out, guys.
See you, Toler.
I feel like the kid at the end of the class presentation who didn't get to like even say their thing.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, well, you
Rajan.
see. Yeah, so sorry, James took up your time.
So
we actually, I know we didn't get to talk about you when you got 9th in Charlotte.
This is my revenge, Rajan.
I'm kidding, Rajan.
It
is your turn.
It is 9:36.
No, you get
I'm just gonna no.
You get a quick run through.
No, you don't understand, Rajan.
Oh, no, I don't care about the Knoxville team. The Knoxville team sucks. It is a run back from Charlotte where it was actually good. James said that the metagame has changed repeatedly and quickly every single week, and it's correct. The metagame changes extremely rapidly this format. This felt really broken at Charlotte. Charlotte was extremely a Turbo Bear metagame. Spam did well at Charlotte. I actually thought the team was dog shit at Charlotte too, to be completely honest. But the individual picks were very strong, and I got to press a lot of buttons. And then I knew going into Knoxville it would suck. I spent 2 weeks trying to figure something else out. Didn't work. First time in my life, I just ran it back. Played like ass day 1, but good player privilege through it. And then played like ass day 2. That was
you beat Riley in the win. That's a big win. At the very least.
Yeah.
It's tough rounds. Aaron Trailer into Riley. That's pretty.
Go through it like I won round 1 pretty handily. My Ursulina outran every single Raging Bull that I played at the tournament, which was pretty cool. Won round 2 in a game of wants to give each other the set more. We each just kept tossing every single turn until eventually I remained standing. Round 3 I hated. It was Screen, Snarl, Moltres, whatever. Just bops the shit out of me. Can't do anything. Just goes, literally nothing to do there. Can't crit the Gudra. Can't attack through Moltres flinches. Buttons go. It's just very upsetting because my team is slow for the most part. It's a weird speed tier. Moltres is just really, really, really unbelievably good in DD Crown or Saluna. If you can believe it. Ogre Pawn that can't hit flying types. Tornadus and Urshifu Dark when they have a Gudra with shell armor. Somehow I got bopped, if you could believe it. And I was just feeling really, really, really tilted after playing like ass round 2 and after getting smashed game 3. That I just like went off during my lunch break, sat in a corner, get my mindset back in there. And then I just kind of sort of was better thereafter. My team is just really offensive. I really like Ursaluna. Was running it at Charlotte in tandem and just did extremely well at Charlotte. Went 12-3, I got 9th place. And after like 15 sets of just being extremely different, I just really couldn't justify not running the team back despite knowing in my heart of hearts that it was absolute trash for this tournament. And there was a lot of things that I would do differently, like not run 4.5 of these Pokemon. Because essentially the team was just whether or not, or like it was just how different can I be with Ursaluna, which was pretty different. But like most of the mons were pretty terrible. But I made it through through day 1. Just got smashed by the Screens team. I got smashed by Andrew Whitman round 6 because I played like 20 practice games with Roxanne into Wolf Team before the tournament. And I won like 4 of them. So a little bit better than Toler's prep record, but I just kept getting smashed. I was like, okay, dodge. Didn't. Lost. Played bad again, but won. And then I played Aaron, which was sad. And I played Riley after that. Just made it through day 1. Knew I was going to do bad day 2. And I did. That's pretty much the run. Was the first time in my life that I ran back a team. Especially knowing that it was not right for this tournament. I knew the Liverpool meta was going to be more accurate for Knoxville, but didn't care.
Fair enough. And honestly, did pretty well
despite
that.
For it, but like my friend Siddharth asked me earlier. It's like, how do you feel going into Knoxville a couple days before? And I said top 32, looking to improve. That's how I felt. That's what happened.
And you got top 32.
And I don't want to dismiss or disparage the placement. Like it is still top 32 out of like 400 something people.
I think
But
460.
Yeah, I knew it was not going to be working. But for the first time in my life, I just played 15 sets with this team, played some games in between. I know it well enough to understand what the problems are, despite not really having any Pokemon. And that's what we did. I played like absolute horse bananas in front of in round 2, day 1. I just had too many bad matchups, and I was not different enough day 2 to compensate for the matchups in the way that I had to. And that's what happens. Like the floor in this format is extremely strong. I'm not saying any of my opponents were at the floor. That's not what I mean. I would never like actually insult my opponents. I'll insult teams. I won't insult my opponents. They did their best, and I did my best. And sometimes their best suck. Right? That's what happens. But I'm not even talking about a specific opponent at this point. But I had really bad matchups into Farigiraf. I had really bad matchups into Heartflame. I had really bad matchups into Chiyu. I had really bad matchups into the whole tournament. And that was my fault. I knew it going in. Like, that's really all there is to it. But Ursaluna, broken. Absolutely unbelievably broken. This mon is so stupid.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
All right. And so I
that was the Spark Notes version. The version with the allocated time was more polite.
Well, I think we've talked about at this point most of the teams in top 8. I don't think there's anything that is too out there. Is there maybe Avery's team? Of course, we saw that was I think just Eric Rios and Alex Gomez's team from Liverpool. Maybe some slight adaptations, but I guess any quick highlights that you want to point out about Pokemon that did well or teams that did well at Knoxville before we move on to Melbourne.
Is it rude if I say no?
No, I just said that.
Like I don't think I don't mean to disparage anything in particular. I don't think this was a very interesting team tournament. Like the teams from this tournament, I do not think were very interesting. I think the metagame I think it was a recap. I think Liverpool meta was pretty dominant, or just kind of sort of it was very much. I don't find bulky tournaments that fun, and it was we kind of have just a combination of Pokemon that we can use that are actually good right now.
I think that's agreeable for the most part. I think the only two Pokemon I would very much highlight was that a lot of people kind of thought Lando Eye was super washed after week 1. It came back with a vengeance for this tournament.
Were they
not saying it ever
dropped for the most part?
Yeah, I think the ones that were based off Casty's version were Terra Steel. I still ran Terra Poison because I like the damage output, but I think a lot of them are kind of adjusting to the metagame now. And the only other Pokemon I would say I'm starting to notice a lot more. I noticed a lot more at this tournament, and I feel is kind of catching on more is just with these sort of balanced teams. A lot of the Raging Bolts are running AV now. Obviously, obviously very very good set, but we're now starting to kind of see Raging Bolt come into its own more as a Pokemon than a set piece for a team to be unique in this DLC format. This AV set with Snarl is really, really, really good.
It's just one of those mons that you can really bring to every matchup.
It's Iron Hands too, literally. Down to
there's not that many Pokemon that you can bring to almost every archetype, right? As an example, I had on mine it was a Tornadus team, and I had an Urshifu, right? And I had things that you think are just really, really good, and you just bring them and they work every single game, but they don't. Right? Sometimes you're okay, Torn actually kind of sucks because they have this and they have this and they have this. Or Urshifu sucks because they have their Terra Fairy Frigarath or their Terra Fairy Indeedee or their Terra Fairy every Pokemon on the bloody team. And this mon sucks. But Raging Bolt does something. I do not know a matchup I would not bring Raging Bolt into if I was a what if in doubt kind of moment, you know?
So I think it's I very much think it was starting to
P2 Shroom. I might not want to bring it into it. That seems kind of annoying.
Even then, it's still doing good damage.
It's okay. Here's the thing.
Yeah, Snarl's good into P2.
It's fine still.
It's obviously I definitely think we're starting to see Raging Bolt turn from a Pokemon that was just very strong special attacker into more of this is its designated role. And it's very, very good at it, is more than anything. I think that's the biggest takeaway from specifically Knoxville, I think, is Raging Bolt is very good, and this Assault Vest set with Terra Fairy is very, very good, and is probably the best set for it.
Yeah.
If you want to look at the Liverpool metagame for a second, going into it, in day 2, the only Raging Bolt was a
Edu?
9 out of 9.
Oh,
9 out of 9 Raging Bolts.
I thought you meant it was only Edu, my bad. Yeah, that is
9 out of 9. So if you look at the top 256 usage for Raging Bolt, there are a lot of them.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, there's a lot of them that are
half
weird
of them
stats.
are AB. 30 out of 58 are AB. That's half. That's about 50%. None of the other items converted. Literally none.
I think it's
that's important to realize, right? I think a lot, like you were saying before, James, that there's a lot of being lost in this format. We're not understanding how Pokemon or set pieces interact with each other, or understanding what trends or what things are going to be pulled from previous results. And we've had a lot of tournaments back to back. I think the scheduling for this year has been atrocious.
Oh my god, I agree. Thank you. Someone
right?
finally agrees.
The scheduling's dog shit for this year. It's terrible.
It's so bad, dude.
But what it does to this format in particular is there are a lot of shifts and a lot of noise. And I don't think that it's actually that hard to dissect between the two. Or at least perhaps it seems okay in my it was very apparent, at least to me, that Charlotte into Knoxville was going to have pretty poor performances for Scythe Spam in general. A lot of the offense is going to get fizzled out. A lot of the balance is going to reemerge. Gouging
no,
Fire
I
is
100% agree.
strong. I still think that mon sucks, but I'm also a little bit biased because I keep running Ursa Luna. So like maybe I in particular think that mon sucks because I love hitting it. But like,
yes, burn me, please.
there's a lot of trends, and for this one in particular, it seemed very much like when offense dominates a tournament, it does so aggressively because people have not figured out how to run balance yet.
I agree.
After offense went crazy at Charlotte because that was the offensive tournament of the year, Liverpool and Europe is also boring. Just saying it, but the European metagame is always boring. And they were like, okay, the Charlotte metagame is stupid and no one likes it and we don't understand it. So what if we just ignored it and do something else? And then afterwards, we're like, oh, we would rather do what the Europeans did as opposed to the crackheads in Charlotte. So then the United States, like, then we just repeated it in Knoxville. Like, that's all. Like,
let's not get crazy because no American wants to run Registeel, man.
Okay, fair, but Desu barely wanted to run Registeel. He didn't want to run Instant
nobody wants to run Registeel.
Well, Desu didn't want to run Instant Rillaboom. But that's like, I mean, yes, there's obviously some things, right? Like Registeel, love Desu, super different. That mon's bad.
But Camilla,
love Michael. That mon's bad, right? But like, there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of trends. This format was bulking up, and it was pretty represented in Knoxville. Were the best Pokemon. Go to top 8 for me, Adi.
I 100% agree with this, Rajan.
I just want to see top 8. Look at it's fat, right? There's the most aggressive team is Justin Tang's.
Mm-hmm.
And Kyle's, right? But like that team isn't even like that. It looks super aggressive, but it's not actually like
they're usually built bulky,
broken aggro. Like, and I think it's telling. And I think if we had another tournament in 2 weeks, like we had for the last 2 months, Knoxville would look pretty similar, or the next one would look pretty similar. I don't know what Dortmund's going to do. I don't mean to completely dismiss every other region's tournaments. But I think Dortmund is going to be a stupider version of Knoxville. If that makes sense. Like it's going to be more mixing the two.
I think I was going to say I don't even know where Dortmund geologically is on a map.
Geologically,
it's
geographically. Yeah.
I
don't know what Roxy finding.
Dortmund. I don't know the actual placement of Dortmund. If I had to, okay, yeah, I figured it was in Germany somewhere. Now I just need to find where Germany is on a map.
Well, there were a lot of crazy aggro teams and when I say aggro, every team in the format is aggressive. Even the Pokemon are aggressive. They have to be aggressive because
my team is very aggressive.
You're not winning. Oh, the point I was making before, when I was trying to say that the floor is really high, it's because every Pokemon does so much. And every Pokemon in tandem is so threatening, and it doesn't actually like there is no perfect way to play any against any team in the metagame right now because every Pokemon is impactful unless it's bad. And there are like 40 good Pokemon and they're all impactful. And they get placed together in a really weird way and you have to play it all in a really, really powerful way. And even the teams that are slow are aggressive, right? It's just being aggressive with your Incineroar and your Amoonguss and your Tinglu to deny resources. Like it's still, but when I say aggro, I mean like fucking June's team, right? From Charlotte with just like Burr, Blood Moon, Burr, Torrent, Burr, Urshifu, Burr this, Burr that. There's none of that, and there was a lot of that at Liverpool, but it got all by AV Raging Bolt. It all got owned.
I very much agree with that like line. I think we're just starting to kind of see, like you said, there was a lot of noise, and that was like kind of what I figured when people were like, yeah, the format kind of feels like it changes every week. Because I feel like realistically, you're still running into the same fundamentally good cores of Pokemon.
Fluttermane is always going to be broken.
Yeah,
Wellspring is always going to be
amazing.
Broken.
Yeah, that was like I said when I was like, I was kind of just living in my own bubble, like for a couple regionals, and I think that's like a very important thing. I would say like that. other players might just be doing that as well for Dortmund, and I wouldn't be surprised like if we just see a couple players from Liverpool just run it back with the same teams that they did. Like I honestly, realistically, you'll probably see a lot of that AV Raging Bolt balance stuff again, just because obviously Europeans probably love whatever like what Toler and Edu just used. So I definitely wouldn't be shocked if we just kind of saw a repeat there, but probably a lot more specialized for specific players.
I think it's going to be very difficult to look at things that are successful in this moment and go, wow, that is not something I've ever seen before.
Yeah.
Right? It's not really going to be something that happens because there's only so many viable Pokemon. And admittedly, I am saying this as like someone who ran Teal Mask and Psyspam and Physical Ursaluna, right? I'm not trying to pretend like I'm not trying to make this come off as if I have some sort of like beat on the metagame. My team was absolute horseshit. But it's going to be very difficult to find Pokemon that like just really surprise us. Like, yes, Len was super different at Knoxville when he ran his Series 2 team.
I'll get that.
Like there are going to be aberrations, but like the best Pokemons are the best Pokemon are the ones that do the most things. And we didn't just not discover one of them.
Okay, I will say one of the, and I'm going to move on to Melbourne real quick after this, but there are some Pokemon that have rised up recently. But yes, I think it is mostly a reflection of Liverpool. Tinglu and Komodo in particular getting top 8 were not Pokemon that we had really been considering until very recently, but they did very well. But those were the other two that I wanted to mention. Iron Jugulus too. It's kind of cool to see two of those in day 2. Another Pokemon that maybe a little underappreciated that didn't quite
they're both they're both the Brendan team from Charlotte.
No, Aaron's not Brendan's team, but yeah.
Perez. Oh no, I think he was thinking of Trailer probably.
You're right.
Trailer and Aaron Zeng, I think both ran it, and I saw that on stream. But
there is another Aaron with it.
There are some cool teams out there. There are some underutilized mods out there, but by and large, I agree. I think there's very few of them.
Yeah.
We've seen most of this stuff, not necessarily in these combinations before, but all these Pokemon. And then occasionally you'll see like the Okidogi or something like that.
We're going to be honest, right? For the most part, and my own team included, a lot of the unconventional choices are just worse. And that seems hard or harsh to say because team building is traditionally, to me at least, the most fun part of the game. And it's where you allow your creativity to express itself into your skill and what you're doing. But we are in a landscape where the better Pokemon are just better. And by not using the ones that are better, you are playing with your hands tied behind your back for the sake of it. Unless it's like super turbo broken to do that, which it can be sometimes. And I was hoping that mine was. It wasn't, but it can be. It wasn't Charlotte, admittedly, but it was not now.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, speaking of, stealing people's metagames, agreeing to steal people's metagames, can we agree to steal the Australians' metagames? Because they had a regional as well. Biggest regional ever, by the way, in Australia. And I don't actually remember the number of players, but they did have Day 2 Swiss, I think, for the first time ever at a regional. And so it's really cool to see. One by Kieran Singh, who I think had also topped the Showdown ladder before this tournament. So they had done really well with this Warring Moon stuff. I think this is the same 6 that Marco Vieira used at Liverpool as well. 4 of the same 6, I guess. But it turns out this team is really good when it gets to use 6 Pokemon. Nothing too out there. And I know we have gone over, and I know that Australia has a reputation for having a lot of really wild teams, but is there anything that you really wanted to talk about in this top 8 or top 16?
I hate the second place team quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm opening this one. What is it?
This is DD Hat Size Spam. Yeah, it is Scarf, Final Gambit, and Annihilate.
Okay.
So I stand by my comments about Australia previously. And that is all I have
I'm a little less critical. I got friends in Australia. Shout out my boy Alfredo. Shout out my boy Nick Khan. I guess a couple things I'm gonna notice are there's a fair amount of fat dragons that are not named Raging Bolt in this cut. Like namely Archaeudon and Roaring Moon. I was say Australians. One and a half fat dragons.
Amon is not a dragon, is the problem.
What?
Or it's not a steal.
Not a steal. It is a
Yeah,
dragon.
yeah.
And there are three
Yeah, it is a
Archaludon
dragon.
in this top cut, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, and one of them's not even on like Rain. It's on a Sun team, I think. Wait, is that a Sun team? No, wait.
It's just good stuff. It's just an AV
Wow.
Snarl.
Yeah, that is just a. Oh wow.
They said we don't want a Raging Bolt. Why would you use
Jesus.
Raging Bolt when you can use Archaludon?
But I was gonna say the first thing that immediately stuck out to me was like, yeah, there's a lot of like Frigirafts. There's a lot of I would say there's Komos, there's Roaring Moons, there's a fair amount of Raging Bolts, Archaludons. I'm not gonna mention the 2 Gallades in cut. I'm not gonna mention the amount of Torkoals here, and I'm definitely not gonna mention Lilligan Hisui because any time Lilligan Hisui is on the field, I feel like the game goes from being a 5 out of 10 to a 0 out of 10. I do not like fighting that Pokemon. I don't want to acknowledge its existence. But other than that, feels like a relatively standard Australian regional. I hope that doesn't come off as backhanded. It just like generally this is kind of what we see at Australian metagame. It's a little more out there, but it's not necessarily not grounded. Like a lot of these Pokemon are still very real. I would say probably the goofiest Pokemon by far. And even like goofy Pokemon like Gallade still can like make their point. They're still good. I'm sorry, Ceruledge. But like they're yeah, Ceruledge is back, guys. But like I would say, then you get like weird things like Great Tusk in top 16 still. So it's like, you know, take everything with a grain of salt, but that's just how every tournament goes. There's always going to be some outlier. There's like a Galar Articuno, but like we just got done a regional in North America where Lycanroc, T-Tar, Garchomp just made 9th place. So like, yeah, I say really, it's not any different than an American regional. It's not very different from a.
I want to say, I think Len, for running his Series 2 team back, slammed the right time at the meta for it. Actually, incredibly. Like,
I was just sitting there speechless, like watching him win his stream match. I was like, I just don't understand. Like
the right format for him to run this team back, because in terms of a lot of the aggressive things, like he just had like Ogre. This is Ogrepon's best format, so he does have Bundle, which is pretty strong into Wellspring and Fluttermane. I don't know how often he brought it. The T-Tar is extremely bulky and very difficult to kill with Fluttermane and with Raging Bolt, and we saw it avoid the 2-hit KO from a Life Orb Landorus on stream. Corviknight is weirdly aggressively really good in a moment, in a way, where it's like it reflects Breaking Swipe from Gouging Fire. It reflects Icy Wind from Flutter, which we saw him do on stream. It really denies a lot of the value that Incineroar brings to the game, and it just did a lot of cool things for him. T-Tar was like, Sand was really broken. Like, I think we just like hit a really good point of the format for him to run this team back. And I mean, he plays it impeccably well because he knows what he's doing with those Mons, and it's pretty exciting.
Pretty cool to see. But just
Garchomp, I don't like that guy, but he is faster than a lot of stuff, which is pretty funny.
Sandvale
being
is
faster
annoying.
than Lando, being faster than Shiyu, being faster than Urshifu, being faster than Animate Ogerpon of every kind. There was a lot to love about his choices at this stage in the format.
Yeah, it's a cool team.
Or at this stage in Series 2 when he met it then.
I guess going back to Melbourne, I guess the other thing that I wanted to mention, there were a couple cool teams. Someone said in chat we should look at the 3rd place team.
This team is so evil looking. The more you look at it, the more questions you get.
There's taunt. So I see Yawn Ursaluna, Taunt Roaring Moon. They got Flamethrower on Armaroog as their
this
fire
armor
choice.
set.
They got Psychic Seed.
This
is incredible. This is incredible. One thing I will say, I don't know Genting and I don't know Chengfu if they study in Australia and or work in Australia and are just Chinese, but it was cool to see 2 Chinese players in top. I'm pretty sure. I feel like Chengfu lives in China. I'm not 100% sure about that, but it is cool to see multiple Chinese players in cut. And I'm curious if the flat prize money increase is incentivizing more players to travel internationally for regionals, right? Just because all of a sudden, that $1,000 flight to Australia, you can cover it pretty if you get top 8. And this is a relatively small regional compared to some of the American regionals. And so it was cool to see two Chinese players make it to top cut, Genting and Chengfu. I know they both made a name for themselves online as well, or at least I know Chengfu has made a name for himself online. And so that was the other thing. And then I also have to look at the Galarian Articuno that got 9th, because that is a pretty cool team as well. I do see the Terra Ground tech that we saw.
It's the Tauntrilla.
It's a Tauntrilla. That's your set, right?
Making waves, man.
Okay, I was told that Chengfu lives in China, Genting lives in Australia. So at least one player coming from China and getting top cut at the regional and maybe making their money back, which is super, super cool. I know Bingji attended. Bingji, used to live in Canada, now moved back to China. And I know he attended one of the Australian regionals as well, didn't do quite as well. But it is really cool to see Asian players having the chance to travel to Australia to compete at these events still with the prize money increases. But yeah, those are...
Oh, my bad.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I hold the opinion that China is the most sleeper region in all of Pokemon. They're so goated. They're so busted at this game.
They are
a lot of them.
They have a really strong community too.
They're so good.
Yeah. So I guess on that note, if there's nothing else about Melbourne, I want to do a quick Dortmund smart money. We kind of talked about what we expected to see at Dortmund regionals a little bit already, but give me your smart, putting you in the spot right away. Give me your smart money for Dortmund regionals. Who do you think is winning?
You putting me on the spot when I didn't even know where Dortmund was on a map. If I had to guess, I was to say there's two that immediately come to head. I would say the easiest one, Michael Kelch is like by far like incredible player. Got second in Worlds. Just super cracked at the game in general. I would say, but what I would say, I love you, Michael. I'm sorry, but I have to go with my GOAT, Victor Medina, every time. I would say Victor is what?
Is Torview going?
Is he? I would say if not, then I'm voting Michael. But I wanna say so. I mean, Eric and Alex are going to Dortmund, right? So naturally, I'm assuming also Torview is.
Not all Spaniards are friends, man.
I know, but usually they all just go like. It's more just like I can just assume by like.
I just don't know who's going is the problem.
I was gonna say it's easy to. I would say it's easy to put smart money on Michael to get a very good placement because he is obviously German and he probably lives very near to Dortmund. So I was going to say if Torviev is not attending, which I'm going to check right now, at least by checking his Twitter, and if it's not there, then I'm cooked.
I did not see anything on Twitter.
Oh, God.
I haven't seen him say anything about Dortmund.
We'll give you Michael. Yeah, I've heard
okay. Yeah, I'm gonna vote Michael then. And if Victor, you're watching this, just know that deep in my heart, I am voting you for smart money as well. I love you, man.
All right, Rajan, your turn. Who's your smart money for Dortmund?
Again, I have no idea who's going, but I'm gonna say Nils.
Ooh, that's a good one.
If he is, he brought the actual heat to the heat to Liverpool. And I do think that his team got absolutely farmed by the AV Raging Bolt adjustment in the metagame. But in spite of getting farmed by it, he got top 16. And, it's very hard to count out Nils when you're looking for thinking about how to approach a format in an effective but different way offensively. Nils pioneered the Reg E team that saw a lot of usage towards the end of the format, the Reggie Drago Hearthflame offensive version of Torn Ursh, with a lot of unconventional Terra choices, including Terra Rock Rillaboom. And that team was extremely smart and extremely well put together at this stage of the format. And I just think that the way he team builds offense looks at trends really well. Sometimes you miss, sometimes you might not necessarily, and I'm saying a top 16 at Liverpool's a miss, but sometimes you might not necessarily get every call right, but I think he builds offense extremely, extremely well and layers his pieces really in a really strong way. So I have to say Nils.
All right, good choice, my fellow American Swede. And I will pick.
Assuming he's going, I have no idea.
I don't know. My pick. I'm also going to pick a German player, mostly because I know they are going. I'm going to pick Marcus. I think that he is apparently, according to Victory Road, the last time there was an event in North Rhine-Westphalia, which I had not heard of, but apparently
What is that?
That is apparently Bochum and Dortmund are in the same part of Germany. In which case,
Okay.
and Marcus is the defending champion of that region's regional. So I'm going to pick Marcus to defend his title and win the 2024 Dortmund regionals. So we were looking at a map and we did not see that. So I pulled it up on stream and everything. But yeah.
Perfect.
So actually, Alex posted one thing in chat. I'm going to do this real quick. I don't think there needs to be a ton of discussion about this, but apparently the guidelines were updated while we were on stream. And
perfect.
And now the Twitter discourse from 2 weeks ago is no longer applicable. It has been confirmed. You hand your match slip over when both players have selected preparations complete. Then they should exchange team sheets. Don't do it beforehand unless you. I mean, you can do it beforehand if you can ask your opponent. It's whatever. But if you need more time to read or whatever, they should inform a staff member. Right? I think that's what most people have kind of understood the rule to be since Orlando. But I'm glad they put it in writing so that there wouldn't be any more discrepancies about that.
I will say the way I like to do it is I talk to my opponent and I say I'm gonna hand each other the team sheets face down, flip at team preview, to avoid the awkward 6 seconds at of preparations complete, where they hand you their sheet and you have to flip it over, or when they're Joe X9 and it's folded and crumpled in a.
Oh my god, dude! I hate when that happens.
When players like Joe pull it out of the sleeve protector to spit on it and crumple it up. I like to avoid that, so I'm a big fan of unfold it, pass it face down, flip it preview, which I think would still comply with the spirit of this rule.
Yeah.
I think normally I kind of just hand it over and I'm like, it's generally sporadic. Like sometimes I read it before I click prep complete. Sometimes I click preparation complete and I just start reading it. It's good that there's at least knowledge. You brought that up.
You are the problem.
I would be so angry.
Read. Like, this is all I want to do is I just want to read and then I'll start. But what is it? I do actually agree though. I hate when people fold it and then you click preparations complete because you got to spend 5 seconds unfolding the thing and then it folds back in on itself. You got to put the LAN the LAN cable on it as a paperweight.
And now you're 24 seconds into your most important.
Yeah, exactly.
Game.
It's dumb.
Like if someone was sitting on the table when you're picking your settlements in Catan. You don't have it's the only part that matters.
All right. So
I 100% agree.
Now that I just want to put it out there as something that is finalized, something that now we all know. And then last but not least, we got the Calc is right. This is a quick little game that we like to play at the end of our streams where we each think of a damage calc. And then, James, have you done this before? Have you seen this?
I believe I did before,
okay.
And I uploaded a calc that was completely impossible, but it was funny. I completely forgot to do this part, so my bad. I'm going to find something on the fly to do.
We always do. That's the tough takes way. So just to get quick recap to everyone, maybe new viewers,
James has been doing it all on the fly. He learned what Dortmund was.
Dude, it's a big day for me. I'm learning so much tonight.
Me?
So Rajan, it sounded like you had a calc ready. Is that right?
Yeah, I posted it. I'll post it in the chat as well. But it is 252 modest special attack life orb sheer force landers earth power versus 252 HP 252 Spadef careful assault vest Tyranitar insane. How much does it do to the infamous Lentar? How much does it do?
I got a number.
I'm gonna also. Oh wait, I don't say it yet, right? No wait, I put it in chat, right?
No, just Rajan will call you out, and then you'll say it.
Gotcha.
I've been calling James out on podcasts, bro.
It's been a hot minute since I've done this.
Okay. Do. James.
I'm gonna guess probably 45%.
Okay. And Adi?
I'm gonna guess 55%. I do think it's 2 shots.
One of you is right, and one of you is dumb.
All right, let's see it. Offensive,
It
modest.
does 41.5 to 50.2%.
A.
It dodges the 2-shot.
That is crazy. That's insane. I don't think he's actually careful though. Surely he's not, right?
We all know who the lens are.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
One of the most when Nails was running Focus Blast on his Gengar in Nats of 2018, Lens Tyranitar ate the Focus Blast and fucked it up.
Oh yeah, it did.
It was not Assault Vest at the time, but it did eat
It
the
was
modest
berry.
Focus Blast, and it ate the modest Focus Blast.
That
Mega
was,
Gengar.
I'm calculating that one right now. Mega Gengar's base 145 special attack. All right.
Base 170.
170.
Mega Gengar is kind of strong.
Oh my god. And yeah, it lives that. That's careful, all right.
Yeah, but it wasn't Assault Vest.
Yeah, I took it off.
Oh yeah. So just throwing that out there.
That's pretty nuts. All right, James, do you have a calc ready, or do you want me to do mine?
You might want to do yours first because now I'm trying to figure out something that happened. I wanted to do this funny calc that happened at the regional, but now I'm looking at it and it's somehow impossible with what I thought was a thing.
All right.
So,
mine is. So I ran Magmar in the GC. I loved it. It was great. I tweeted out. I think it was the best Pokemon I run. The rest of my team was dog shit. So we're gonna go with Terra Grass Magmar, which is 252 HP, 12 SPDEF, Eviolite. And it's Terra Grass, and it's taking a Sludge Bomb from Modest Landorus. Not Terrid. Or Terra Sealed, right? That sort of vibe.
80.
80. All right, James, you got a number?
wait, can you post the calc again? My bad.
So I'm gonna read it out because I don't have it.
Okay.
But it's 252-12 Magmar with Eviolite, Terra Grassed
Got it.
into Modest Landorus.
Sludge Bomb.
Sludge Bomb.
Oh.
Yes.
I'm gonna assume. Probably 80 to 85.
All right,
So
you gotta give a
probably just
number.
like 80. 80.
All right, you.
What the fuck?
Yeah, you're stealing his number. He,
Oh, sorry, dude. I zoned out. I didn't know that you answered that. Like,
we're taking it. We're taking it. 252-12 Terra
look, I'm trying to
Grass
still find Dortmund.
Sludge Bomb. You guys both were in the range. It is doing 77 to 90%.
Yeah, dude, I stole your homework.
Which is
You didn't change it up at all.
Copied your homework.
I mean, hey, you said 80 to 85, and you were right smack dab in the middle of that range. So that was you're right on the money there.
I don't have to pick a number. Not
Yeah,
a range.
and you
Get
picked
extra
you
credit.
you also got it right.
Get extra credit based on my answer.
Are you that hungry for my for my approval? Yeah. All right. In that case,
again, I'm still salty. You spent half of the Charlotte
Alright.
stream talking about Riolu.
Good news.
Not one
Good
time
news.
you went to my team.
all right, James, what you
I
got?
have our calc. I have it. Because everyone loves playing the Gouging Fire Mirror, especially me. +6, 252, attack, the photosynthesis doesn't matter. Gouging Fire, Heat Crash, into a 252 HP, 4 defense, Terra Fairy, Gouging Fire. Let me copy this for chat real quick. Because
+6.
this is, the only move that you can hit the opposing Gouging Fire with.
You know, I feel like Luca mentioned this in his team report. I feel like I know this one, but I don't remember what it is.
Bro, I'm cool.
Every mon is 40 base power into itself with Heat Crash.
Yeah.
How it works.
Yeah.
I should have changed it to 120 just to be funny.
I got a number. I think
I'm
everybody
going to
said.
75.
Say 75.
No, that's too low. +6 though. That's 4. Oh, that's 4 times the damage normally, right?
Mhm.
So I think the heat crash probably does. No, actually, no. I'm gonna think the heat crash is about 21% at +0. So I'm gonna go up 85.
I am much cooler. I think it's doing about 10% at +0. So I think it's doing about 45.
That's ridiculous.
I think it's 3
Oh
shots.
wait. Oh, hold on. It's a quad resist. No, it's Terra Fairy in this. It's
No,
Terra Fairy.
it's Terra,
Terra Fairy.
because you both Terra to Fairy, and then you get the +6, and you heat
Now that
crash.
changed your answer, Adi. You think it's doing 10%?
I think what's the spread? Adamant max.
Yeah, no,
Just
just max attack. Yeah, just max attack, no jolly. Or no jolly, my bad.
I'm going 85.
Damn, this ain't even speed booster.
Whoops.
That's
It's
fine.
funnier this way.
Not adamant. It's not adamant.
Oh, I take the booster
It's
energy
jolly.
off though. Yeah, otherwise it's gonna be speed booster. And then what was it? It was another gouging fire.
There's another
Well, you
gouging
have-
fire with.
what was
You
it?
have to go down and lower the attack EVs. You do have to.
I mean, I just took off the photosynthesis, right?
Yeah, you just take off the boost.
That's fair.
Terra Fairy and +6.
And it's 252 HP, 4 defense, gouging fire.
Oh
on
my
the other
god, that
side.
is way lower.
252
On the
HP,
other
4
side.
defense. It is two-shotting, but it is not two-shotting by very much. It's 50 to
This
59%.
one's terrible.
Wait, did I get a different calc than you? Wait,
Did I do this wrong? You said 252.4?
I might have done it wrong. Wait, why is it no photosynthesis is activated on my end, but it's doing this?
It's not.
Wait,
You have
It might be doing proto anyways.
Cause, yeah, if
You
you have
have photosynthesis. It literally says photosynthesis.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's not checked, was what I thought. So I was say that is correct what Adi posted.
okay.
Oh, this one's terrible.
That's okay. This is the problem that I had with the version that's like a Dragon Dance set, is that if they ever have a heavy mon the Terra Fairies, you never kill it. The Farigaraphs, you have 60 base power, you don't ever
Oh my
get
god,
to
dude.
it.
Dude, it's so bad. The first time
Terrible.
in Charlotte, I heat crashed a Frigiraph like round 1 of the tournament. I was like, oh, that did nothing. Why did that do nothing? Like,
For Luca's tweet of is gouging fire bad or are you bad? We have the definitive answer.
what do you mean,
Gouging
dude?
fire is awful.
What do you mean, dude? It was so good for me.
It gets the two shot
that
plus
note.
6, dude. On that note, we should probably wrap it up. We have gone a little bit over, but thank you guys for coming by, having this little chat. And thank you all for tuning in on the stream. We are going to, first off, if you did miss any part of the stream, this will be up on YouTube tomorrow. So you can go check that out. !YT in chat.
Up on Wednesdays.
You no longer have to wait 24 hours to upload things on YouTube. So I've just been uploading it the next day. Yeah, it's really cool.
Future of technology.
And then, well, the more like Twitch just changing the rules, but we take those too.
Future Adi.
But yeah, so I'm gonna send you guys over to Ryan Lassetto, Save Life VGC. But yeah, any final words that y'all want to give? Any shout outs you want to give before you send out a raid? No.
Thanks for having me, and Knoxville sucks.
I'm in the same boat. Thanks for having me on, Adi. Even if I did ramble a little bit, I say I have to make everything a movie when I'm on this channel. But no, thank you once again for having me on. I'm very happy to talk about everything.
And I just want the viewers to know, Ribbing James is an on-stream persona.
He's gonna get off. He's gonna get off, and he's gonna be super nice to me, and nothing bad ever happened. It's just
Not
the
one
facts.
time.
Never.
All right. With that, we're gonna pass it off. I'll catch you guys later. See ya.